All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Worcestery Council Theatre 3000. I'm Bryan O'Donnell. This is Bill Shaner and Brendan Melican. We have a pretty exciting meeting tonight. I mean, we're finally going to fix
everything.
All this stuff that's been going on. The police have made some mistakes. But they're ready to face the music tonight, and the city council is gonna stand up for this city and do the right thing and make sure that some accountability is made possible for all of us. I think, right? And we can all agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be so cool. It's just gonna be so cool, man. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I think that we'll probably hear them go, well, okay, the DOJ isn't gonna do consent decrees anymore. All right, well, I guess we're done here. And maybe a nice polite word from a police union official. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen tonight. We shall see, I suppose.
Pretty psyched. Just couldn't be more jacked up for this. And if anybody doesn't know, that's literally all that's on the agenda tonight is items pertaining to the DOJ report, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Oh my God, if somebody holds it, that would be so funny.
Mm-hmm. Ben likes your shirt.
Oh, thanks, Ben.
I'm actually shocked that Ben likes your shirt because it doesn't say "cum" on it at all.
No cummies. I was glad to hear a little cum riffage at the roast. That was fun.
It was really nice.
It was we had a nice time. You think they are basically admitting to knowing it's true by requesting the full report.
This full report nonsense. That is the full report.
Yeah.
This has been established. So they're just saying that as a way to throw water on it. They're it's not credible. Which is kind of the line that everyone has taken. At least 8 of the city councilors, I would say. So I actually have no indication of what sort of motions are going to come out of this tonight. But for my last newsletter, I did a rundown of where we are with the DOJ. And it seems like it'd be interesting if somebody from the DOJ is here. It seems like if Pam Bondi knew about this investigation, she would squash it, but she does not. No. And it's definitely not going to the courts. We're not going to get the consent decree. I think that's pretty obvious. But in terms of just pressuring the police locally, politically, that's still on the table. The police released a big report. Well, big by police standards. It was a 20-page report of everything that they've done to address the DOJ's report, and it gets into the weeds, super hardcore. But they haven't done a lot. If you can be surprised by that. It's going to take them 12 to 18 months to get this new record system called Hexagon. If anybody wants to look up Hexagon, I'm sure it's some sort of Peter Thiel venture that will allow them to keep racial data on traffic stops. They're still going to put street prostitutes in jail, but they're only going to do it via the common nightwalker statute, because using another statute that has a similarly ghoulish name, I'm sure, requires that the women get into the car. The common night walker statute, which I'm sure is from like the fucking 16th century, they don't have to get into the car for the cops to give them criminal charges for.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's great.
They're weaponizing their own predation
Yeah,
to further victimize an already vulnerable population.
Yeah. I don't know what I can't conceive of a positive thing that comes out of this meeting, to be perfectly honest, but it will be very interesting to see the cops explain themselves. So
yeah, should be good. Should be really, really good. Looks like the broadcast has started. The stream. They're getting about to get started now.
cool.
But before that starts, I just want to say quickly, I know, Bill, he was a closer friend to you, but I just want to acknowledge that Worcester lost a real cool weirdo this week.
Yeah.
And Isaac. If anybody didn't know, Isaac Pinot, who you probably know from Ralph's, that's where I know him from, passed away earlier this week. And I wasn't close to the guy. I didn't know him very well. I just knew him kind of to say hi, and just from being kind of a fan of his whole vibe and his whole deal. And it's one of the beautiful things about, I think, that's still alive in Worcester, is you can just like kind of know a really cool person that you are, just a huge fan of, and that's the exact type of guy that he was. And I know you were planning on doing a piece about him, Bill, but I just wanted to acknowledge it. And if you wanted to say anything, or if anybody in the comments knows him, just a phenomenal dude. And it's awful.
Yeah, it leaves a really, really big hole in the local music scene, whatever you want to call it, arts community. And I put a call out for everyone to share their favorite Isaac story, because I know so many people have so many good ones, and I'm going to sort of put together a compilation of that for later in the week. So if anybody listening to this has an Isaac run-in that they want to talk about, please send me a line on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or wherever. And I will get that in. The stories that I've gotten so far are great. Really excited to get that out. And me and McCardle worked together to do a rerun his T-shirt that he drew for the haunted attraction event at Ralph's, and got 100 of those pre-ordered in like 4 hours. So we're gonna be passing over a really big chunk of change to his close friends that are handling the burial and all that. So that's great. But yeah, rest in peace, Isaac. He was one of the realest real ones, and sorely missed.
Yep. Now let's have fun.
You wrap up your.
Let me pull the sound up.
What's that? Okay, we have, before public participation, let's just take the two items off the table, 6A and 6B. We can do a roll call. Roll call.
God, this is going to be so good. I'm
6A,
so excited
B, and
for this.
C.
Is that one was table? That was on table item 2? Yes, 6C. I'm sorry. Yep.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Agia?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Merrill Carlson? Council Nguyen? Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Oops.
Yes.
Oh,
Council Russell?
I must hit the mute button
Council
for my
Toomey?
burping.
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes.
Oh, let's check the mute button
Public
tonight.
participation, a person may speak for no more than 2 minutes, and they aim down the
Can't hear you.
agenda.
It works.
Could you,
Hey,
what's your
wow.
name, see residence? And
Yeah.
Well,
I have my own personal mute.
Fred Nathan Worcester.
That's what I've been using the last few
6A,
weeks.
B,
And
and C.
Oh my God, it's Fred.
You know, I've
Oh,
been listening
shit.
to all this talk here, like everyone
Fred,
else does for months and
Nathan,
months.
baby, Fred,
I want to remind people,
Nathan.
Rachel Rollins, the U.S. attorney, who got disbarred because of ethics. And we're supposed to believe anything that comes from her. Well, I don't. It's all a bunch of innuendos that were put forth by Joe Biden and company to disgrace
God.
Worcester. And I'm sick and tired of it.
Innuendos.
I'm sick and tired. We have all these great Worcester police who are basically looked upon by certain parts of the media as rape artists. Enough. I'm sick and tired of it, and I'm not going to listen to this anymore. In fact, I'm gonna prove to you that it's all
Rape artist.
a bunch of BS.
Okay.
Our chief, who was interim chief for a year and a half, I don't think he would have taken on the position of permanent chief if there was any
Why?
credibility. No credibility.
What?
Thank you.
The fuck?
Okay, next speaker is your name, city residence.
Fred's
item.
fired up. Damn.
William Gardner, Worcester, and 6A, B, and C. Let me start by saying that this is not about all police officers in the city of Worcester.
Oh my God! How many
When the
times we're
city
gonna hear
council
that drinking
addressed the
game?
Department
Not
of
all
Justice's
cops drinking
report
game. Every
on the
time you
Worcester
hear that
Police
phrase.
Department on December 17th of last year,
I kind of give Bill a
100+
pass on that one. I
officers
mean,
rolled
he
into
was a
city
cop.
council like a
Yeah,
gang,
but I'm just saying we're gonna hear
intimidating
that a
and
lot.
triggering many people who were in attendance. I came to give testimony as to the behavior that I witnessed and the abuse that I received while being a police cadet and police officer in the police department for 10 years. When I was done, I had to leave to attend another meeting, so I grabbed my things and began to leave. When I got to the door of the chamber, there was a large mob of police officers making it difficult for people to come and go. As I tried to exit, several officers, one of whom I have worked with in the past, blocked my way and wouldn't let me through. When I attempted to pass through, I was met with pushing, shoving, screaming, and elbowing. After leaving, I kept this behavior pretty much to myself. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, and I was approached by someone in a meeting who wanted to say that they were sorry that I was treated so poorly. They had been standing right near the entrance and heard the officers talking about messing with me when I went by. The citizens of Worcester are not the enemy and deserve better from their police department. And the city council, the public safety committee, the city manager, and the chief of police need to stop dragging their feet and step up and improve the relationship between the police department and the citizens of Worcester. This disgusting culture has to change. Many of these officers have no empathy, no compassion, no civility for the public, and that won't stand. I hope that I don't get assaulted again tonight. Thank you.
Tim.
Our next speaker is your name, city residence.
Idella Hazard, the city of Worcester. I am appalled that a citizen of this city would suggest that the Department of Justice would
Jesus
waste their
Christ.
time for 2 years investigating the city of Worcester Police Department and come
What's
to
our
the
shirt say?
conclusions that they
Expect a miracle.
a miracle.
For
We
nothing.
love it.
That's the most Worcester shirt.
It appalls me. Especially when we hear citizens come and speak at this.
That's
mic.
a Webster Square Salvation
Kind of
Army
to
find,
come
if
again.
I have ever seen one.
Not just tonight. I have myself.
I just hope that she has the matching window decal
I'm
as well.
glad that this new chief is the chief.
Why
I
are we all
have
saying
faith
this?
in him, and I hope that it's not in vain. I would like to see change, and if we don't,
Bill, does the
change
shot
that
clock
is
include
necessary,
dramatic pauses?
I pray
Specifically
that the
unnecessary
Department
dramatic
of
pauses.
Justice returns. Thank you.
I think they should pause it for the dramatic pauses.
I do
so
too,
People
yeah.
people can pause it well. Ooh, we got the TV cameras here.
I believe it's Rule 44 that refers to signs and does not actually reference anything regarding the respect for the building. It's just I can't permanently adhere things.
David Webb dropped out of the
Anyways, I'm
race.
sorry that change
Hallelujah.
is so scary, Mayor Petty. I'm sorry that the concept of changing who is in power in this room terrifies you. I'm going to add that extra 10 seconds for referring to 44 myself, because you gave the president of the police union almost 3.5 minutes last time. So speaking of the president of the, sorry, my bad. Thank you for stepping down. Former president and vice president of the police union, who
Did they both step down?
presumably
I
recognized
didn't realize they
that
both
we
did.
need people
I
with
don't
more
know.
ethics, more morality, and who
David Webb,
understand
quote
that
unquote,
by
reported
function, their
that-
job was to keep people who didn't do their job well employed.
Yeah.
And that maybe they did a really great job as union leaders, and our city got screwed over really, really badly for it. So I guess what I'm asking for is,
He
since
got
the Worcester Police Department has systematically
going
shown
through
they do
Instagram
not
earlier,
have
and
enough
earlier this
respect,
afternoon, he was getting
compassion,
run off from the,
sympathy,
shelter downtown.
consideration,
And the
that
cop that
they
was running him
only
off
do
was like,
things once forced to. by
David's
an
like
external
arguing with
force.
him,
And
like,
unlike the
First
last
Amendment right
speaker,
him on
I'm
the
not willing
sidewalk.
to
It's like,
pray
dude,
that the
you're
Department of
filming
Justice comes back.
clients. Like, it's
I
like,
am hoping that
It's
this body
It's one of those weird
does
times
its
where
job,
like
since
you're watching like
since
the
city
cop
manager does
auditors
not
and
allow
like you actually
human
do
rights
feel
commission
bad for
to,
the cops
and
because like
holds the
humanity.
Worcester Police Department
It's like-
accountable. I
You're
would
just
like
down
to
here
say
filming
I'm
people
really,
coming and
really
going from the
glad that
shelter.
they are
Like,
getting
what
a
the fuck are you
refresher
doing?
on the Constitution.
Yeah, what was he
at some
doing?
point in the next few
Filming
months.
people coming and
Again,
trying to
should not have
interview
taken
people
a
about
Department of
the
Justice
quality of life
review
inside the
to
shelter,
really
but like
consider
with a
that.
live
Putting them on
camera.
camera? Like just
But
cold
here
putting
we
them
are.
on camera,
I
asking
really
about that?
recommend they start
What
with
the
first.
fuck, dude?
And then arguing
been
that
threatened
like
with
this
arrest
is my right to
for
be with a
recording
cop,
on
that
a
this
public
is my
Oh
right
my
to be down here.
multiple
God,
times
that
over
is
the past few
so
weeks.
so
Worcester should
irresponsible.
have already learned its lesson.
Holy shit.
Additionally,
Okay.
the constable.
I'm mad about that. I'm like
Yeah, wrap-
legit
It's
mad
still
about
It-
that.
dude, it
really,
was
That is
really
not
bad.
cool.
And I
It's-
don't know
it's up
if
on
the chief
Instagram
doesn't
right
talk
now.
Thank
to
you.
his
Oh my
officers,
god.
Thank you.
or if the officers don't listen to the
Fucking
chief.
idiot.
Can you wrap
But
it
the
up?
laws are not being respected
idiot.
within the
Do they have a-
post commission.
do they have a
which they
sound
are
effect
all
now?
supposed to be familiar
Thank you.
with. Thank you.
Our next
Wow,
speaker.
that's gonna be
Please.
so annoying when everyone just keeps ignoring that.
10th
Hello,
Deep
my
is a
name is Gary
detonation,
Hunter. I'm from District 5. I know I talked about this issue before, and I have respect for almost all police in the department. I'm glad we have a new person in charge that will straighten out a lot of things that are going on. But leaving and not talking about this issue for months has led to many people outside talking about this and that and not knowing who has a problem and who doesn't. There's most police that are here do not have a problem with people. But unless you point out the people that have a problem and either suspend them or fire them, that everybody in the city has a bad image of the police department. I disagree with the person that talked first because this is not a political thing here. This is between people that are being abused. There was no way the Trump or even Biden people got involved with our case here. I think that's a ridiculous statement, if you don't mind me saying that. We need everybody to come together, clean up what happened in the past, and make sure it doesn't happen before, and I know our new chief will try to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, none of that stuff is still happening. Definitely not. This is all in the past.
Yeah, and the
John
chief didn't
Keel.
work
I'm
here
from
at
Worcester.
the time, so
No, it's not like he was
I'm
like
excited
the,
about tonight.
he wasn't the
I'm
direct
hopeful.
report
I
to
support
all
this,
of the
this chief of
special
police. I actually predicted
plainclothes
that he would be
units
the
where
chief.
all of
I
this
was the first one to
stuff
say
happened.
it. And I think he's done a good job trying to institute the reforms that the community is crying for. I think there's a disconnect, though, in that he needs to have all the tools to be able to do it. There's no one, as I've had to listen to all the union presidents and vice presidents say online, no one has ever said that every police officer committed all these crimes. It's specifically related to specific incidents and the culture of silence that comes from it. I know from my own personal life, when you make mistakes, the number one way to move forward in your life is to say sorry. But what I've heard from the mayor and the city manager and the chief is a minimization of what's happened to people. It's not enough to say, we know something happened. It's more important to say what happened and say sorry for that. The reason there's a cloud over the entire department from a specific area of the community is because no one says sorry. You never admit when you're wrong. So just say sorry. Let this chief have the tools that he needs. He needs an independent oversight board that is filled with community leaders that are going to get voted in. We're not looking for, free passes. You want to have an interactive thing. And up until now, according to the chief, that hasn't happened. He's admitted that there was a ton of bias. The former chief said it never existed. That turns out to be not true. Either one chief is telling the truth or the other. We have a current chief who's pushed for more and more community interaction. So give him the tools that
Fred
he
looks
needs
like he's
to
having a
succeed,
really hard
which is
time with that
a
idea.
public oversight board. Thank you very much.
Hi, Janet Davis, Worcester resident. I'm here to speak also on 6A, B, and C. And I just wanted to stay focused on the Civilian Review Board, as the last person mentioned, how important that really is. We were told that the Worcester Regional Research Bureau will be providing research and analysis to the City Council. It's important to engage community in this process. And so we would like to have regular updates, and we want a real thorough process of how community will be engaged. And, one of the earlier speakers had talked about intimidation. Well, while I was just standing in line, one of the police officers was heckling somebody who was speaking. So this is the kind of behavior that we're talking about. This is supposed to be a professional person, but who's out there heckling because he doesn't like what somebody's saying. This is the kind of culture we're fighting against.
Damn,
and this
maybe I
is
should
why
have
we
gone
are
down.
where we're at. And the other person said, too, we've not received
Did you want to
any
be
apology
heckled,
for
Bill?
any of the egregious things that have
I love
happened
being-
that
that's
the
a-
DOJ report highlighted.
I love you. Oh, we
My
got
name is Sue Mailman, Worcester resident. This DOJ report was a gut punch to the residents of this city, and I'm certain the new chief, will talk tonight about changes being made, and those will be welcome comments, but it's the actions that will matter. I hope this city council and the city manager and the chief will push for a civilian review board, that the chief will be able to convey to fellow officers that the public asking for transparency and accountability should be understood to be a good thing and not an anti-police thing. That will be the real test of success. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Todd Phillips, Worcester resident. I'm here to speak about 6A and B as well. I just wanted to lend my support for the Civilian Review Board. I think the initial response of the police back in December was absolutely not appropriate, and it's clear that they need more
What did
guidance.
he say, John?
As well, the recommendations they've made since then are an attempt, but is not enough of an attempt, in my opinion. They are simply trying, I feel, to avoid the review board as much as possible, as happens in many other cities. I also feel the Civilian Review Board needs to have teeth. In many cities, this has gone through, but then nothing is actually, don't have the tools to actually enforce things. Either subpoena power or others, police simply ignore what the review board is doing, similar to the way the Human Rights Commission does now. That's all I want to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Keith Linares, 1 Germain Street, District 1. Over the past 3 weeks, I've spoken with close to 200 neighbors of mine in Hammond Heights, a part of Worcester with the highest voter turnout in the city, asking what they see as the most important issues facing Worcester in 2025. The DOJ report and the police keep coming up, and people don't like what they see. A retired police officer told me he was deeply concerned about the findings in the DOJ report and the lack of public trust in the police these days. Other neighbors complained about high salaries and seeing officers at construction sites doing a job that could easily be done by DPW certified flaggers and save us all money in the process. Multiple women told me that the DOJ report and allegations of sexual assault against women scared them. I think of my 3 daughters and wonder, can they grow up trusting police officers? A retired man who's lived in Worcester his whole life told me police used to be a regular job for regular people. But nowadays, he told me, we treat all police like exalted heroes that we aren't allowed to criticize or question. He told me he didn't think any city councilor or leader in Worcester would ever have the courage to make the police more transparent and accountable. In Worcester, right now, there's one person that has any real power to fix the trust. It's our city manager, Eric Bautista. He is the lone oversight of Worcester PD right now. He and his predecessor spent millions of our tax dollars trying to mask the problems, paying out settlements when police do things like break a 10-year-old kid's arm, assault innocent bystanders witnessing arrests, or sick dogs on innocent people who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The millions of dollars spent on settlements could have been spent on ways to improve transparency and accountability, not mask and hide the problem. To address the root cause, City Council needs to implement a civilian review board with teeth, the way that forward-thinking cities like Springfield, Massachusetts, and many others have done. Civilian review boards allow residents to see data, see complaints, and help root out the bad apples. Bad apple police officers have been hurting trust for generations, and it's probably going to take generations to rebuild it. But civilian review boards are a small step towards transparency and accountability, and we need it now.
Keith! Winners! Keith! Winners!
Can you guys,
Bruce Spring, Worcester
can you guys
resident.
see Colleen West's
I'm also
comment
here
down
to
here?
speak on 6A
No.
and B. The last
People in
time that
Harris
we
is an
convened
Attell,
here to
Shaner
talk about
groupie,
this DOJ
far
report,
left loon trying to
I'm
portray
sure
himself as
everybody
moderate.
remembers the
Another
rooms
cop
filled
ignorance on the
with women.
council.
There
So
was
sick.
culture
Shaner
of
groupie.
intimidation
That's
that
right.
was coming directly from
this is Ashley
the
Spring is
police
also
officers,
running for
from,
something.
I'm assuming, the union that were
forget
here
what.
backing it. Since the day that we spoke about that, I have not felt any safer as a Worcester resident. I have a child who has a neurodivergency. One of the issues raised in the report had to do with somebody having a mental health crisis. This isn't just about the reports of abuse on women. This is also about the reports of racism and the reports on our vulnerable population, people with mental health disabilities. This is not being taken seriously. I'm here to ask you, as a Worcester resident, to please consider a civilian review committee, something that involves the community in the discussion, where
Ashley
we
Spring
can feel
School
like
Committee,
we have
District
a seat
A.
at the table,
Oh, Chris
that
beat
we're
me.
safe to speak, and we're not walking into a room full of blue, which is intimidating. The last
Whoa,
time we
Keith
met on
lip
this, I
hairs.
spoke
We
virtually.
like that.
And I told you
That's
that
good.
we are scared. I talked specifically to the council members. The community is scared.
Yeah, we have
of
to
the
own the
police.
fact that he
And I
looks
think
like
the only
Dr.
way that we're gonna
Robotnik
turn
before
that
his
around
enemies
is
do.
by giving us a seat at the table to see and understand
Young
and
G.
speak
Gordon
about
Liddy,
what's happening
Dr.
to us.
Robotnik.
Thank you.
Thank you. Name and city of residence.
Good evening. My name is Thomas P. Duffy II. I'm the president.
what
of
the
Police
fuck? I thought they
Patrolmen's
weren't gonna
Union.
speak.
I'm here to speak on the DOJ report.
Oh,
The
my
DOJ purposely
God.
sensationalized this report in a transparent attempt to garner shock value. Consider sexual assault allegations. Where's the credible information and verification that these individuals are police officers, let alone Worcester
Is he
police
doing a high
officers?
school debate?
If witnesses were reliable, there'd be multiple criminal referrals, which we would support. We're not afraid of accountability. Consider
Aiden
another
Kearney
example of
takes
bias
HGH.
against this department. The GOJ found no factual evidence of a pattern of practice of racism by our officers. Yet they still concluded they have concerns about racism because it fits their narrative. Even when we pass their test, they fail us anyway. There are multiple incidents where the DOJ reported use of force information inaccurately. They have been made aware of these errors, but have made no attempt to
Fred
correct
doing
their
his
mistakes.
eyebrows?
The report flatly ignores suspect violence behavior
This is
towards the
Worcester's
police.
Vic Mackey,
The
everyone.
conclusions
This
of
is
the
the Vic
office
Mackey of
demonstrates
Worcester.
they lack the qualifications to access the proper use of force. I have been told that college interns worked on this report, and it shows. The report shows an unfamiliarity with Massachusetts law, which requires anyone to submit to an arrest by an officer, regardless of the charge. In our state, no individual has the
Breathe,
right to
dude.
even resist an unlawful arrest.
Just one breath.
To make such serious allegations against
Actually, you know
our
what?
department is reckless. These incidences have been cherry-picked out of over 800,000 incidences. They do not substantiate their baseless claims. In fact, they show just the opposite. Our officers de-escalated and used a proper amount of force, given the resistance they were shown. Why in such an important report is it not even a mention of the motive or truthfulness of some of the so-called credible witnesses?
Brother, you
some
ripped
of whom are
someone
likely
out of
career
a
criminals
moving
or family
car.
members serving lengthy prison terms for their convictions.
You
or have motives to lie
chased down
against
their
law
car
enforcement.
on foot.
We will continue to fight
Ripped
back
them out
against
of
this
it, and
report.
they weren't
We know
even
the
the one you were
anti-police
trying to get.
activists on this council will continue to attack us.
This guy runs
we
the
ask that
gang
you look at
unit.
this
He's fucking
report fairly
psycho.
and impartially.
Like, does he
This
think that
report
this
lacks
makes them seem
the most
reasonable?
basic foundation of reliability. The great
just
men and
busy.
women in this department stand up for our city daily. I now call on you to stand up and support this department.
What?
In closing, it's important to note some changes in our officers' work conditions are mandatory subject to bargaining.
What?
By local 911. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this fucking city.
You should name
Noah, existing in Worcester.
That guy sounded like a rabid dog. I'm not really sure what he said, but I know it
Direct
was
your comments here, please.
bullshit.
Direct your comments to
Yeah,
the items.
Joe, bullshit. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I actually remembered when I was here for the sanctuary resolution, which, by the way, thanks for passing. That was great. There was a police officer here who escalated an interaction that I had with him, and it was just after a very vulnerable testimony by a lot of people from my community. Officer Matt Early, is he here today? No. Also, the other officer's name is Alex. I'm not sure. Do you guys know him? But yeah, he swore at me, he threatened me, and when I approached Officer Early about it, he kind of just laughed it off. Officer Early also made a lot of very inappropriate jokes to me, saying that if we were to come back another week, he would use tear gas on us, and then laughed. And obviously I had to laugh because having experienced that before during the 2020 Black Lives Matter protest, I mean, obviously it was a funny time, and I had to laugh at it with this officer who needed his dick stroked. So I just want to say, please consider a civilian review board. The police, obviously we need to learn how to work with them, but yeah, sorry, again, like I said, I wasn't planning on speaking. Thanks.
Kevin Kassen, Worcester resident. I've been here before, and I've been here for this conversation with many of you before. Mayor Petty, you've been here a long time. City Manager Batista, you've been here both as city manager and as an employee of former City Manager Augustus. We all know a lot of the stuff that's happened. We know a lot of the stories. But we also know a lot of the stories that didn't make it into the newspaper, that didn't make it into the news. And I want to reach out to both of you because I know a lot of those stories, but I know you know more of those stories. And I know, Mayor Petty, last week you were speaking at the Democratic City Committee. You talked about we have to speak up more. We have to be leaders. We can't be sitting back quietly. We need to take a role and speak up. So I would like to challenge both of you to do a little bit more. We've been through this before. We've had the conversation multiple times about a civilian review board. We're now at a point where the Department of Justice has stepped in because enough wasn't being done. And this is our chance to do something more. When I look at the DOJ report, I'm finding stuff in there that I didn't realize we'd had. I didn't realize when a citizen makes a complaint that there's a review of the citizen, that we do a background check on the citizen. Like, step up and so put in place the civilian review board, but you need to also bring a third-party person in here to investigate the whole list of lawsuits that have been happening and all of the complaints that have been just discarded. Like, it's time to step up.
Kevin is a national treasure. We are so lucky to have him in our city.
Terry Kelly, Worcester, Mass. One bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
We haven't
What we
seen.
need to do is get
we haven't
rid
seen
of
Terry
the
Kelly in
bad
a while.
apples.
Mm-mm.
Not everybody should be
Hey,
punished.
did anybody hear anything about
I have an uncle
Aiden
that's FBI,
getting jammed up
CIA.
for something down at St. Patrick's Day
Kevin
parade?
Donovan,
I thought he
New
was still
York,
locked
New
up,
York.
but someone had mentioned to me that
And
he
he's
may
a
have
good
had a
guy.
negative interaction with law
Not
enforcement
everybody's bad.
down at the parade.
But we do have some
The
bad ones.
Worcester one?
Yeah.
And
I didn't hear anything
in the
about
past,
that.
I've
That's
asked
interesting.
for a QR code on the
No,
name
but
tags.
he's a free
Because
man.
people can't
Although
read
he
it.
did do another witness
You ask an
intimidation
officer
like
a bad
2 weeks
one,
ago.
what
So
the number
maybe
is.
not for long.
191?
Anybody
That's
watch
not
the
his number.
HBO
So what is he doing?
true crime
This pisses me
docuseries
off.
yet?
No, I
It
can't.
really does.
I can't.
He's
do it.
reporting an officer that's probably a good officer and fucking him over by giving 191. This needs to stop. Everything needs to be reviewed with a fine-tooth comb. I'll be damned if I see a good police officer get screwed by another one. This needs to stop. It's not fair. It's not right. I never want to see a good officer lose their job because of a bad one. We need to weed out the bad weeds and stop the shit.
Okay.
Well, the
A lot
worst
of
weed
corruption.
just spoke, and he's the president of one of the police unions. So, good luck weeding him out.
Tom Marino, Worcester. 34 U.S. Code 12602B clearly prohibits the Department of Justice from releasing information on names of victims or law enforcement officers. So, as some people in this council have demanded, and this council has left a petition on its agenda for 98 days, asking for something that's not going to happen, and something that's outside your purview. You cannot force your vote on this means nothing. So it's just a crystal clear example that access to petition your government in Worcester is governed by who you are, not what you say. I've come here multiple times and said, what we need is an independent determination of the facts in misconduct cases. Some people look at me like I have 6 heads, and I talk to some of the people in this room privately, make it very clear that's not going to happen. Why? No real answer. In an election year, we want you to do stuff. Oh my God. What you're going to do by leaving the same system that has failed for years and years and years while you did nothing about it in place is you are going to hang this chief out to dry. You're going to put him in the same position as many chiefs across the country where they're constantly juggling discipline and supporting morale in their people. You could change that, but not in an election year, because we're not going to do anything of substance in an election year when some people in this council campaign on very little else but their support for the police. I talk about there's good cops, the vast majority of them. Vast majority means there's a minority that aren't good. And we need to do something about that, as this council has not done, and it's not just the people in this room, it is many councils prior to you. So if you want to protect this chief, stop asking coworkers to investigate themselves. If I'm accused of wrongdoing and I have John investigate, what do you think is going to happen? That's what you're doing.
Thank you.
Good timing.
Very nice timing.
Hit the post.
That little beep is so funny. I love that.
Grace Ross.
I love progress.
10 Oxford Street, Worcester. I'm never quite sure why there's pushback on a civilian review board. There's no conflict in our lives that doesn't benefit from a perspective that's outside of the run-of-the-mill crew that are looking at something. So why wouldn't having the viewpoint of people who, hopefully take the job because they believe in justice, they believe that we should have decent treatment to each other as residents of Worcester, that we should be safe, that we should care for each other. Why wouldn't we want another perspective on what the police are doing? We are still dealing with these uncertified, untrained constables threatening people, and we're trying to work it out, and the chief has assigned us somebody to work with, but we're still experiencing the same problem. And I think the reason, working with somebody who I think means well, is that his perspective comes from the perspective of being a police officer, not the perspective, for instance, of being a battered woman who's now having her home physically threatened by someone who doesn't have police powers and doesn't have the training to not physically harm her if they evict her. That's her experience. I wouldn't expect a police officer to bring that perspective. That doesn't mean they don't care. That means that sometimes a different set of eyes will come up with a different solution. So I don't see any problem with adding more eyes in on perfecting a decent system that should be there for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica D1. I'm here to speak on behalf of tabled items 6A through 6C. The police demand accountability from all of us as citizens, so it's not too much to ask for a modicum of accountability from them. The fact that they flat out refuse to allow it makes it necessary for us to have some measure of a recourse, such as a civil review board. If city wants to continue to employ a police force for the purpose of serving all citizens, it requires oversight from these same citizens. I'm appalled that the police would ask for further details about survivors of sexual violence who have been brave enough to share their stories already. As a proud union member, myself, the police should not use the shield of their union to stop police being held accountable. Thank you. I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love it when people yield the balance of their time.
Killed it.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Fred Taylor. I'm the president of the Worcester branch of NAACP. I'm also a Worcester resident. Today, I want to emphasize the crucial importance of establishing a civilian review board without delay.
Some really
As
aggressive
noted by
gum
City
chewing in the
Manager
back row.
Batista in the cover letter dated March 4th, the Worcester Research Bureau will provide essential research and analysis to our council. This is not another initiative. This has to be a priority, and it has been a priority for the Worcester NAACP and the community. Engagement with our community is paramount. However, I noticed a significant gaps in the report regarding how community members will evaluate changes in policies or submit feedback. Worcester residents and members of the NAACP deserve a voice in this process. Our input is necessary for ensuring that changes are implemented and are effective and reflect the needs of our community. I would also like to urge the city manager to provide regular updates to both the city council and the community concerning meetings with the Department of Justice and progress being made. Transparency and changes to the policies is vital, and our residents deserve to know what steps is being taken to ensure our police department serves them effectively and fairly. This is something that is regularly done with TIFs and economic development projects. We must establish a comprehensive data collection system that includes diligently tracking traffic stops and use of force incidents. Moreover, we need to specify methods for collecting demographic data through analysts. However, these incidents affect groups within our community. I want to take a moment to express our appreciation for making de-escalation training mandatory for officers. However, this is only the first step. We must ensure there is a robust policies in place to hold officers accountable to principles and provisions within the training. Accountability to building trust within the community.
Thank you.
Finally, in closing, we have an opportunity to strengthen relationships with our community and law enforcement by prioritizing a civilian review board, enhancing community engagement, and with that, we can make Worcester a better place. Thank you.
If everyone just ignores the clock becomes
Hi,
useless
good evening.
again.
My name is Sarah
Yeah.
Petrie, and I live in Worcester.
Because Joe's still
and
doing
I
the.
support calls
Can you wrap it up?
to hasten the establishment of a civilian review board. I also urge our city council and folks in power to take the DOJ report seriously. It's painful to have it not be taken seriously. I urge us to center those most impacted, the people who have spoken already at City Council today and previously, and making sure that we're really centering those voices in these conversations. I think that ignoring and dismissing these concerns are deepening these wounds in our community rather than promoting the healing that we so deeply need. So just please ask you to take those allegations seriously, take the report seriously. Please center the folks most impacted by police brutality and aggressiveness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Ollie, Worcester resident, speaking on items 6A through C. I read this report on my lunch break, and I'm sure most of us know the gist of what's in there, but I'm going to read a couple of things that stuck out to me as I was looking at it. On page 4, it says, a local advocacy organization commissioned a survey of survivors of sexual exploitation in Worcester. More than half of the women surveyed reported that undercover WPD officers engaged in stings that tricked or misled them into providing sexual acts. On page 10, There's a statement, rather than trying to de-escalate and contain encounters, officers instead unreasonably ramp up the level of force they are using to conveniently control individuals, including when interacting with people with behavioral health disabilities or experiencing mental health crises. What stuck out to me overall reading this report is that time and time again, the WPD has exonerated officers for egregious acts of misconduct. And I ask you, who watches the watchers? The solution is clear. It's time for a civilian review board. Many of the officers here tonight will dispute the evidence detailed in the DOJ report, but there's one thing no one can argue with. 9 of the top 10 highest paid employees in the city are police officers. Not an educator, not a community health worker, not a sanitation worker on site. It's time for that to change.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Atticus. I'm going to try to meet the resident now.
Atticus?
Atticus Finch?
Can you hear me?
Yes. What's your name and your residence?
Atticus, I live in Worcester. Firstly, I wanted to point out that all the people who were super into like pro-police stuff are just old cis white men, which is interesting. Secondly, I wanted to say to the people who are saying one bad apple ruins the bunch, that's only partially true, because one bad apple may ruin the bunch, but if all the good apples around the bad apples have a chance to say, hey, there's a bad apple here, and don't, they're all rotten at the core. The only, as a Worcester resident, I would like to also say the only time I feel unsafe is when I see a police car approaching. That has been my experience ever since I moved here, and that doesn't feel right. That needs to change. I also want to point out that despite there being a vote to apologize for calling a slur to a fellow council member, there has still been no apology. Months later, months. Absolutely unacceptable. So fix it.
No apology from the
happens,
police department either, but
you
we
might
weren't
as well change the
expecting
police
that.
color from blue to red. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we have one more speaker online.
Okay.
I think they actually dropped off, so.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your name, your residence?
My name is Derek Kaiser. I'm a city resident of Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm also the CEO and founder of Fresh Start Wellness Center. And what we do is we implement mental health programs in the criminal justice and educational system. For the past 7 years, I've been working with law enforcement, the community, and government to make this place a safer and healthier place. I met with the DOJ multiple times, telling them about my personal experience with the police, the good and the bad, because I experienced them both. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm not here to point fingers at anybody. We all know what's up. We all know what's going on. And it's okay to agree to disagree, but we all got the same goal. I came to read a passage that this old city manager, Augusta, made in the newspaper 5 years ago, and I'm gonna read it, hopefully I get it right. He said he signed an executive order acknowledging the role of structural institutional racism has played and continue to play in this city. He had laid out a broad-based plan seeking to address those issues. We are critically at a point in our history where we will be judged not just by what we say, by what we do to address the stop racism. Augusta said in the company report, we'll go before the city council, included those actions, recommendation to remove, et cetera, 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 et cetera. I don't want to go in details because I don't agree with the other things that he said in that statement. But what I do agree is that what has changed in the past 5 years. And I want you city councilors to look at yourself, and the new ones, thank you for being here and thank you for giving me my listening ear. But what has really changed in these past 5 years since he made that an executive order? The same people are still ahead of their same administration, the same people are ahead of these different things, and I know my time is out. but I'm coming here for two people, the CEO of Fresh Start and myself as a citizen.
Thank you.
And I just want to know that there are a lot of good police officers.
Interesting
Thank you.
move. We
I am
haven't seen
friends
that
with a
one
lot of
before.
good police officers, and it's time to make a change in police officers. Also, I want to thank you for finally agreeing about mental health of your police officers. It's really, really something serious.
Thank you.
My
I
brother
appreciate
Derek
it.
was a brother that I miss and I love, and thank you for recognizing that, and I'm willing to start working with you.
Yeah, the
I
buzzer.
just hope he never stops talking. Just gets further from the mic.
Annoying. Oh, that buzzer is really, really bad.
My name is
man.
Ariel Tibar Alvarez de Masifuen. I'm a District 4 resident of Worcester on Nimic territory. I apologize for not being able to come in person tonight. I'm disabled and going through a pain flare-up that is currently leaving me bedridden. Mr. Chairman, I'm still learning about how the city and its rules work. Seeing the fiasco with the Palestinian ceasefire resolution of where rules were weaponized for silencing part of our community was extremely frustrating. Seeing consistent critique from the public, specifically those who are more knowledgeable about the rules, that the council seems to utilize its own rules, including those for tabling items, incorrectly. I would like action to be taken to make the rules more simplified and available to the public, and to be able to ask questions about the decisions you make with tabling and filing every week. In regards to these specific items, I would like to make it clear that I am vehemently against any agenda item that helps the police wriggle their way out of not having to make major changes from the ground up, or just be eradicated. Our police abuse us, rape and abuse vulnerable groups, and overall escalate harm rather than helping our city. There's no such thing as a good cop. Even the kindest police officer is complicit, being in the system that allows for corruption and encouragement of violence and easy avenues to abuse the more vulnerable in our community. There are so many issues in the city that this body is not showing a true investment in. If we want all of our citizens to feel safe in our city, demilitarizing the police is key. I would rather the police be fully folded. There are places in our country that don't have police and are doing fine. But if our city is insistent on keeping them, starting to reduce the weapons they have, restructuring to encourage de-escalation, and blocking paths to corruption is a good start. Police should be nonviolent. There are countries that do this, and we could follow their lead. I'm still learning, but all I want is for our citizens to be safe, comfortable, and respected. That shouldn't be so crazy to ask. And it's a devastating betrayal that our local leaders, other than a rare few, don't seem dedicated to solving these issues and utilize rules in ways that are hard to keep track of. It just makes it feel like you're trying to get out of avoiding us and get out of truly solving the problems we're experiencing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Sam. Trying to meet the resident now.
Go ahead, Sam. What's your name and city of residence?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sam Asbach, Worcester resident. I don't know all this stuff about my personal experiences, but with the WPD or all the expert policy analysis or all these things other people have been saying. But the answer is that you don't need to know all this stuff to know why the police here need reform. You don't need to be super smart to understand that we shouldn't let the cops tase people and like unleash their dogs on them willy-nilly. And you don't need half a brain to know that the cops shouldn't be fucking prostitutes undercover. Like, come on.
Joe, you
Come on.
can't
I
tell
lived in this
people
earth
not
for
to
under
swear.
half the
How does he
time I
not
worked with
get
city
this?
councilors, and even I know this stuff. Like, the DOJ report said
The verb
that
was
the
used
actions of the-
accurately and appropriately.
So the actions of the Worcester Police went not just against the law of Massachusetts, not just against the law of the country, but the Constitution of the United States, the very document that establishes the basis of government that this country is based on. And then Eric Batista isn't even doing anything at all. He's really not doing anything, if we're being honest. And I'm just like, what? Come on. That's all I have to say. Thanks. Come on.
Thank you. Your name, city of residence? Yeah, final speaker.
Hello, my name is Sadie Lombardi. I'm a resident of District 2, and I'm here to speak on items 6B and 6C.
Great.
The people of Worcester deserve clarity and honesty. It's despicable that these acts occurred, and it's pathetic to see that the Department of Justice had to perform an investigation in order for these allegations to be taken seriously. We need more accountability, and it starts with each other. If you join the police force to make a difference, to help people, it's time to stop protecting your buddies and act like it. Thank you.
Okay. This will be our final speaker. Go ahead. What's your name and city of residence?
My name is Renee St. Louis. I am a voter of District 4 and a resident of Worcester. I'm here to speak on items 6A through 6C. When the findings of the Department of Justice report dropped, it was like a bombshell. It shook the city of Worcester. It seemed to catch the city, the officers, and everyone involved off guard. I feel like that surprise speaks to a culture of silence within our police force, a culture of suppressing information and allegations. I cannot speak to every allegation in the report, but it is very troubling to me that there seems to be no real independent review of it, that all of the forces that are able to review it seem so willing to suppress it, to silence it, to talk in back rooms in private. The city seems to be trying to handle all of these investigations internally, and I have no confidence in the city to break that culture of silence. I do not think that a civilian review board is not prescribing any particular punishment. It is not inherently verifying any of the accusations or allegations that have been made. It is just saying that the civilians should have a seat.
It's a superfluous imperial throne, too.
Culture of silence. To help clear out the
They're not
cases
even
of
saying
people and investigate issues alongside the city and officers. It is just a simple level of transparency, something to help hold people accountable where people clearly are not being held accountable. And to anyone who is opposed to that, my question to you is, what are you so afraid of? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I wasn't planning to speak, but I decided to. My name is Margot Barnett. I'm a resident of District 5. I've lived in Worcester for about 35 years. So the idea that this, the allegation that keeps coming out from the police that this report is inaccurate, I just want to make the observation that the evening after, the day after the time when this came to this floor where the police were here intimidating people, the DOJ held a listening session with hundreds of residents, and there were more things that came out. There were residents just had so many things that they wanted to let the DOJ members know that hadn't been heard before. So there's a lot of stuff out there. You've got to take it seriously. A couple of key points. Citizens Review Board, Civilian Review Board. I know that Chief Saucier said that I was in a meeting where Chief Saucier said that it wasn't necessary because we have the Post Commission. I also got to go to a session with the Post Commission. They do amazing work. I think there's a way that that a local board could work with the Post Commission and they could work together collaboratively, and it would enhance the work. The other is about de-escalation. It's really important. De-escalation is the most important thing, and I get it that there's mandatory training, and I want to reiterate what Fred Taylor said about that you need to hold the police officers accountable to make sure that what is presented in the training is actually followed through on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, this will be our final speaker.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I live in Worcester. I wasn't going to speak, but I heard a couple people say, it does no good staying silent. And I witnessed myself a couple of these things that the DOJ had mentioned. I was having a cigarette outside of a bar room on Main Street, and the officer pulled up, and he got out, called the person by name, asked him where he was last night or something, and he responded in Spanish, and the police officer just decked him to the ground. And he says, "I told you to speak English to me when you speak to me." And of course, we grabbed our phones. He didn't continue to beat him or anything, but that was just one of, many incidents. I know a couple of the girls that are involved. I got text on my phone from one that is frightened for her life. She mentions names. She's just saying, there's absolutely no way that I'll go forward. And it's just like a lot of people said, there's good and bad, because at the end of the day, police officers are human, and they themselves have to understand that too. And so it doesn't get to be a power thing, and then that abuse of authority takes place. There's a councilman here tonight sitting there, and he was wearing a mask in 2020, I believe, June, during the police instigated riot. I had been one of the first ones to come up. I was curious why these police are crossing the street. There was 4 college students at the time on the sidewalk on the right, and these police officers were across the street, blocking Main Street, and they were taking their batons and saying, "Ready the batons," boom, and snapping them like a military thing. I went to walk from the dollar store to Dunkin' Donuts on the sidewalk.
Thank you.
And that one of the things said, "I'll crack your skull if you take one more step."
Thank you.
And so as time went on, one more thing about the counselor, because hopefully he'll speak to you guys in private. He himself,
Can you wrap up, please?
about a
Thank
half
you.
hour later, went to walk the same path and was
Thank you.
told the same exact thing.
Thank
We
you.
just need civility.
Okay. The next item, we have item 5A, that the City Council of City of Worcester does hereby amend its meeting schedule to make April 1st, 2025 the
beeping
City
is
Council meeting to a joint
so
City Council
annoying.
and a City Manager agenda. Does everybody else self that? Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Okay, we have the 3 items up for discussion for the City Council. I'm going to take those collectively and speak on those. Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chairman,
Hang on.
1 second, I'm remote. Do we need to take a roll call on that?
Oh, you're right. You are remote. I forgot that you were remote. Okay, roll call.
Councilor
Forgot
Bryan.
you were there, Kate.
Mr. Chairman,
Forgot you
this is
existed.
on the approval of the new schedule for
Yes.
next week? Yes.
Councilor Calorio.
Yes.
Councilor Agia.
Yes.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Carlson. Councilor Nguyen. Councilor Ojeda.
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo.
Yes.
Councilor Russell.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey.
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes, Mr. Manager, just like a quick statement before we go to the council.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say a few words to try to bring some context before we begin the discussion tonight. So first, I want to show gratitude to the City Council body and also to the community for your patience, your perseverance, and also your collaboration during this process. As we transition into a contemporary era of policing under new leadership, Chief Saucier, and with a renewed vision and commitment to transparency and accountability that the Chief has communicated, I am pleased to present this report, which addresses, in the report that the City Manager presented, which addresses the DOJ's recommendations and, in partnership with various stakeholders,
Wait,
also
who
creates
presented it?
pathways to progress and
City
systemic
Manager?
change that
Aren't you the
further
City
aligns with our
Manager?
principles as a municipality.
To be determined.
While there
That's
are elements
interesting.
of the
An
DOJ
interesting
report
Freudian
that
slip there.
we would challenge, it's important to acknowledge the history, the past practices, and those impacted by the findings of the Department of Justice. My goal is for harmony to exist between the Worcester Police Department and the public that it serves. And for all those who choose to call Worcester home to feel a sense of safety and also a sense of belonging. To that end, I want to provide a little background
Heather, what's
on how
going on
the
with
City Manager's
Okay.
report that's before you today to the City Council was generated. This was not, and it was not, and was never intended to be a direct response to the Department of Justice. This memo and report that's in front of you is a response to a City Council order that the mayor has put forward asking us for a 30-day, which outlines the Department of Municipalities' progress in the last 2 years, but also affirms our intentional commitment to improving by taking the DOJ's recommendations into account. There's 19 of them. Many of their recommendations will also be implemented
Yeah,
already,
he's
while
a
others are
he's a
also
big
aspirational
dog for
or
sure, but
possible
he's
with
mostly
additional
harmless.
resources.
Trust me, you can
I
pet
have
him.
made
He's
an investment
mostly
into many of those necessary
mostly
resources,
harmless.
which includes the establishment of the DI office and onboarding of new records management system that is underway. As to the status of our engagement to the DOJ, I know there's been questions tonight, and I know some councilors have personally called me and asking questions. As a status of our engagement with the DOJ, we have received no further instruction or guidance from the newly appointed acting U.S. Attorney. Chief Saucier has met with her. However, the DOJ report was not discussed. We previously identified and relayed what we believe to be inaccuracies, and what we've requested that the DOJ provide additional information to help inform some of the claims made in the report, but those requests have not been granted. So I don't make these statements
Well, I, for
as
one,
a
feel
defense.
like
I don't
Eric's
want to make
really
them as a
in control
defense,
of the
but rather as
situation.
just a statement of fact so people would know what's happening. Not only as a city manager, but also as a husband, a father, and a concerned resident of this community for over 30 years, I stand committed to creating and maintaining fair, equitable, and balanced policies and procedures that best serve every segment of this city's population. And I know that this Chief Saucier, stands on those same principles with me and also with our community. So again, I want to thank the community and everyone here, and I look forward to tonight's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely nothing of substance in there, except
Okay,
for the
we
fact
will,
that Saucier met with the
open it up
DOJ
for
and talked
maybe
about something
suspend the rules. We
besides
handle this like we do
the investigation.
budget, maybe we do
Well, what
10
was
minutes,
that?
first
That's
round for
crazy.
anybody, then the second round do another 10
Like-
minutes. Similar to what we do in the budget process. And so if that's not enough, we can open it up then.
What else
So
would they talk about?
Motion to suspend the rules to act, to give it the
Potential
time
job
that we do
openings.
in the budget.
Yeah.
Those in favor? Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Yeah,
Councilor
does
Gloria?
the-
Yes.
that's a good
Councilor
point.
GA?
Did that seem like
Councilor
that was
Kay?
the police
Yes.
chief's boss
Councilor
to you
Carlson?
guys? I didn't
Councilor
really
Leanne?
seem like that was the guy in charge to me.
Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Okay,
Mr.
first up-
Chairman, just a point of order.
Sure.
I know we changed the rules in the Finance Committee. Could you just clarify so that I'm clear?
Oh, so
what
the
new-
first round, each person will have 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes. Then if we need some more time, we'd be another 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Councilor Toomey, followed by Councilor Hygiai.
Oh my God, Toomey's kicking us off.
Thank you,
That's
Mr. Chair.
fucking awesome.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity to have this report come before the council. I think it's extremely important that facts are brought forward so that people can understand that this department has been aggressive and proactive and had corrected many of the things that the Department of Justice report brought up. I'm excited to have Chief Saucier as our permanent police chief. And even as interim chief, he hit the road running. I was working on improvements to the department before the DOJ report was released. Especially of note, one of the things that he worked on right away was the policy review committee that he put in place that includes not only a number of members of the police department, but also people from the community. If that isn't inclusive, I don't know what is. I think also there's also a phone number that was created so that people, if they had issues, they could call and report. And I think that that was definitely a step in the right direction. There were many other things that's outlined in the report. I don't want to repeat everything that's in there, but what was impressive to me was that the Department of Justice committee actually said that Chief Saucier was the right man for the job to make the changes that they were recommending, and I have to agree completely. We're in the process. One of the things that was mentioned by several people was the reporting, and I know that that's going to take some time. The RMS system, I believe it's from Hexagon, a well-known brand in the industry. They're very complex systems, and it's probably going to be 18 months for us to get online, but we're in the process. Once online, it will provide a great many tools and provide more data for improved policing and make the Worcester Police Department a better force. It will also address many of the items listed in the DOJ report.
The chief wrote this for her.
Our
to be clear.
officers are trained to deal with crisis intervention. They're trained to deal with mental health issues. I know there was a person who mentioned neurodivergent child. We have children that are have autism, and I think I can say personally that I have seen. I was part of the civilian police academy. And they are being trained and have been trained on dealing with those types of issues. I will say that regarding the post commission, there is a state process that has just recently been put in place. And I have previously stated that I think that we need to see how this works first before we start putting the cart before the horse. I believe it's a good process.
Oh my God, are you fucking kidding
a
me?
citizen actually said that they were impressed with them. I think adding another layer of bureaucracy to that at this point in time is counterproductive.
Says the layer of
One the things that
bureaucracy.
we need to do
Jesus
is to
Christ.
continue to add police classes. We're barely keeping up with our retirements. As a matter of fact, we're not. We need to get our force up to the
Hell yeah,
required
best news I heard all
number,
night.
which will help address a lot of the other issues like overtime. I personally believe that we've made great strides forward, but there's still more to be done. And I believe that the chief has provided an opportunity for the community to be more confident of he and his team's efforts. And it is all part of the team. They're all working together to have the right people in place to continue to improve the police department and continue to make it one of the best in New England.
That's the ghost of
firmly
little
believe
Danny boy.
That there is transparency. I believe that this chief is very upfront. He's out in the community, talking to people and listening. There may be some things that have been mentioned tonight that were actually pre the time of the investigation. As a matter of fact, I want to reiterate that many of the things that have been brought up were done before the DOJ report came out. I look forward to hearing some more from the chief tonight on the details, but I have to say that I am very pleased and grateful for the report that's been brought forward, and working together with the community and listening, hopefully we will all be better at this at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now time for a little sippy drink. Good job,
Okay,
Kate.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to start by asking some questions to Chief Saucier, if possible.
Chief?
And before I do so, I do want to make a couple of brief remarks. Thank you so much, Chief. Just want to say congratulations and Godspeed in your new role. Back in January, when we were discussing the DOJ report, I mentioned 3 priorities in relation to that report and the outcomes that I wanted to see prioritized. One was implement reforms that center sexual assault survivors, Black and Brown communities, and people with disabilities. 2 was receive frequent reports to community and council on the progress made, support the recommendations of the Human Rights Commission and the continuity of their members, support Chief Saucier's Policy Review Committee, among other review committees that he has implemented. And the 3rd, support the city manager's recommendation to establish a civilian review board, which is something that the community has asked for a long time. I just want to clarify that my role as a city councilor is to ask questions, review progress, ensure that the DOJ report recommendations are implemented, and that the community is duly informed. It is also my job to provide input and feedback, which I have, based on what I'm presented, and longstanding concerns that I have heard from community members that I really don't want to see dismissed anymore. And as part of this legislative body, it's my responsibility to suggest policies and practices that bring 3 things: accountability, transparency, and constitutionality. Chief Saucier, I want you to be successful in your role, and I will do my part to work with you even when we have strong disagreements. My and our responsibilities to the residents' safety, the respect for their civil rights, racial equity, and improving community police trust and relationships. It is really disheartening to hear some police office union officials with their comments undermine the work that you've been putting in building trust and community and with the community. And I hope those folks, happy to sit down with them anytime. Those comments do not help us move in the right direction. I'd like to organize my questions around 3 topics: process, transparency around the allegations, and training. In terms of process, and this is something that the city manager just mentioned, Chief Solicitor, could you confirm when is the last time the city met with the DOJ attorneys? And also, I didn't know what the city manager was going to say, but how frequently do you plan to meet with them in the coming months?
Through the chair of the council, the last time I met was, I believe, a month ago, and that was with the new U.S. attorney. I have not met with the previous group, and I have not been personally contacted by them.
Chief Solicitor, through the chair, does this contact need to be initiated by you, yourself, the city manager, or the DOJ team?
Through the chair of the council, I would think that the DOJ would reach out, and the last I heard, everything was paused. I'm not sure who's even in charge over there as far as the civil rights division.
Okay. My second question has to do with the report that you submitted, and I want to appreciate the manager for clarifying that that was based on the city council order. But what I was wondering is, has this report been submitted to the DOJ for feedback and input?
Oh my God.
No, I'm not. This is our report to let the public know what we're doing. If the DOJ wants it, they can get it. But I'm not personally.
Oh, man.
Say, here's our report, because we still don't know the status
from
of where it's at, where they're at.
Thank you, Chief. And through the chair, if
2019
the DOJ, and you and the city manager
St. Patrick's Day
met,
roast
the
Joe
next time
Petty.
that is,
Around-
would you
or
be
that was
willing
at the
to request a
Hibernian
formal response
that they
from
invited
them,
me and Shaun
feedback
and Jimmy
that they can
Cash
share
to
with
do,
you
and then
about what you
never had it
presented to
ever
us?
again.
Chief.
Through the chair of the council, yeah, I would tell them what we've done so far. I think
It's
we've
100% real.
pretty much hit most of these recommendations, and I think we're moving forward.
This is both to you or the city manager. I think that we talked
Somebody-
a lot
I
about
remember somebody handing those out
the importance of
as like
being
a
transparent
joke,
with the community
like
and
make the
providing
mayor wear
frequent
it, and
updates.
Taitumi
Mr.
gladly
Manager,
wore
would
it.
you, I don't need a response right now, but would you please be willing to give us a schedule of what those what the frequency of those updates would be? What kind of updates would you provide to us and the community? And also, in terms of the feedback that you receive from the DOJ, if we can get some feedback around that as well in your reports.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I'm happy to bring back to the council anytime that we have any substance in terms of work. I think this one here, I know the mayor had put an order asking us to come back in 30 days. This was a lot more than 30 days. It took us more than 30 days because there was a lot of work happening that we wanted to capture all of it. But we'd be happy to come more as frequent as we can.
There was a lot
whether it's
of
quarterly,
administrative
monthly,
turnover
depending
we
on
were
the
waiting
substance of what we have to be able to provide updates.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I think that would be super important. Chief Solicitor, when can the City Council and the public expect the setting of the website where all policies informed by the DOJ and the racial equity audit be placed for the public to see and comment on?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, as we start rolling out policies, we're going to make them available along with our existing policies that are out there. Kevin Levanchi, the Chief Diversity Officer, and I have been working closely together. He's creating a dashboard that will be available to the public. Matter of fact, we're meeting, I think by the end of the week. I don't know, Kevin can tell me. But we're meeting soon. We're rolling that out through the Do It people, and he did a great job with that.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. It's a number of folks that are involved, our media team in our office, the police department, the DI team, and the Do It team. They're all been working. We wanted to have this meeting with the council before we launched the dashboards and the website with everything. And so that will be forthcoming. Hopefully, if not the end of the week, hopefully next week we'll be ready to launch, not only for the DOJ, but also the racial equity audit.
That's really great to see, and appreciate Mr. Levance's partnership with you, Chief. Will the public
Yeah, I
have a
don't know
role
what
in
the-
providing
what the
comments
Do
to
It
these
is.
updated policies?
Through the chair to the council, we created a email address, wpdpolicycommittee.gov, and people can reach out through that medium.
Wonderful. I'm going to move on to the second set of my questions, which revolves around accountability and supervision. Regarding the high-profile cases, including allegations of sexual
Anyone
assault,
catch that
battery,
URL?
misconduct, Chief, I hear your frustration
WPDpolicycommittee.gov.
that you cannot draw any names of police officers who have alleged to have abused women, and those who have alleged to have used excessive force or alleged to have filed untruthful police report. I agree that you have and should have every tool available to you to investigate these cases and for the police officers that were involved to be held accountable to the highest standards. The question that I have is, have any officers alleged to have pepper sprayed people while handcuffed, as mentioned in the DOJ report, been disciplined or questioned?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, I'm not going to get into individual personal things, but the person that was involved in that no longer works for our agency.
One of the things, and thank you for that, Chief, this is the kind of accountability that I think people are excited to see. And I know you cannot go into details about your personal personnel matters, so I understand where my boundaries lie. I would like to recommend that the city manager and you consider hiring an impartial party to conduct an independent review of all the cases mentioned in the DOJ, identify each case, and provide council and public a report regarding the findings, not necessarily the names of the police officers, but to give you the ability to have an independent body to conduct their review, and also give you the ability to hold the information or collect the information that you need. My second question revolves around supervision. Again, I understand that, and I'm not asking for you to reveal any names. From the DOJ report, this is what I'm quoting, WPD has at times failed to hold supervisors accountable for misconduct. In some high-profile instances, W supervisors have only faced consequences after it hit the press, even though PD knew about the misconduct well before then. Can you speak to whether any supervisors have faced any consequence for misconduct, especially for conduct previously known to you or your predecessors?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, again, I can't put forth personnel matters. What I can say is when any new information comes to light, we do reopen investigations, and then we go forward as if it's a new.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Does the Worcester Police Department take into account any and all past disciplinary actions or complaints for officers who get selected for admission to specialized units such as the Vice or Gang Unit or other specialized units that I'm not recalling right now?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, yes, we do. Matter of fact, we just created a new policy on that. Whenever somebody's going to go to a specialized unit, we look at their Bureau of Professional Standard record, we look at their sick time, we look at how they write reports, and then we collect a resume. I receive information from the officials who want that person to go to that unit, and then I make the final decision.
And so the past disciplinary actions or complaints then will be reviewed by you and considered whether they are eligible to apply or be admitted?
Through the chair of the council, that's correct.
Thank you, Chief. Regarding training, one thing that I wasn't sure about was whether, first of all, the policy review.
Sounds an
committee,
awful
I
lot
heard,
like the chief can
Councilor
sort of
Toomey say
personally
that we have
appoint his own
civilians,
Praetorian Guard.
Included
Doesn't
in the
it?
committee. Is that true?
Like,
Chief?
Through the
I don't know
chair
how
of
it
the
worked
council,
before,
We
but-
work closely.
Yeah, and I'm torn on that too, man. Because like, I mean, logically, are they getting to the point where like they actually have to be mindful of who they're appointing to units that are going to be in front of juries or judges?
Whenever
or
I get a policy,
defense
I give
attorneys
it
more
to
often than not.
They vet it, they send it
Well,
back
they've never
to us,
cared before.
it goes to the
I know,
Human
but
Rights
like it,
Commission.
at some point in time, that dam's going to break, right? Like just from a
could
lawsuit
add any
perspective.
type
Like just
remarks or
just a strictly
comments,
like a payout
then it goes
perspective.
all the way through
At
our
what point in
chain
time
then
does somebody say,
through an
okay, like
electronic
we can't afford
process
you
with
anymore?
Powered DMS.
They
and
they
everybody-
don't seem to.
It takes
you know,
a while because
the
everybody.
police department's budget should have to
involved.
absorb the
But
lawsuits,
to
and
answer
then
your
we'd start
question,
seeing
they
reform.
are civilians,
I think that there's a
and
simple
they are involved.
economic.
Oh, no,
One of the
totally. I've heard that
recommendations
argued
that
plenty
I
of times,
read
very
in,
logically, that somewhere
the
between
DOJ report,
carrying individual
was
insurance
regarding forming a
or
training
the
review committee,
union be
to
required to carry
review all the
insurance for the
trainings, the
officers.
advocacy,
That
Right.
and gaps in trainings that
it would solve
you
everything.
might have that may be necessary. Are there plans or any thought around forming such a training review committee?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, yes, we've already did that. It's a use of force committee that
Gio,
looks
that
at
was
any use of
two chiefs
force,
back.
On level 4 and above.
It was Gary
and they
Jem's
will give
brother that was in the
recommendations on
service
whether or
division there.
not
But he'd
there may
always
have
been in
a
the service
training
division.
problem that may have led to the officer using a certain type of force. So everything from there is reviewed.
Do supervisors and officers in specialized unit, for example, the vice unit, have the training they need to support their units?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, yes, they do. We actually, our training budget, I increased it last year when the horses ended up retiring. That went towards a training budget. We also use seized drug money. That goes towards our training. So
We got rid of
officers
our
can
horses,
sign up for any
start
class they
training our
want.
guys.
There's a lot online now that they can do.
Melted them
but
down
they
and
do get whatever
sold off the
training
glue for
they
the
need
training
as long as we
budget.
see it's fit.
Hang on one second, Mr. Manager.
I just want to add, I think something to be noted that's important. Since last year, when the chief took interim, one of his commitments was to enhance the training components overall. And that's why it's partnership with the DI team in providing even training to the new recruits starting as well. But one of the challenges about the training budget historically has been focused more on the any money that would be.
The horses went to the
any,
farm, Camber. Don't ask
kind
any
of
more
seizures or
questions.
anything of that nature. So the ability to shut down the horses, that component, and take those dollars now created a line item that's consistent to try to provide additional training resources to that department. So that's something that he's been committed since he took on the
There's a
role.
dark fact for you.
Thank you.
All of the
Manager,
police
thank you,
department
Chief, for putting some
training
effort into that.
money before
Is the
this
vice
was
unit required
raised
to
through
undergo
civil
further
asset
training specific to
forfeitures.
substance use
That
disorder, human
is
trafficking, and sexual exploitation?
wow.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Yes, I'm sorry. Is the vice unit required to undergo further training?
Even
mandatory
darker that
training
we
specific to
actually
substance
stole
use
from the
disorder,
training
human
budget by
trafficking, and sexual
Zamboni.
exploitation?
Through the chair of the council, there's many trainings that they sign up for. A lot of it is through the New England.
Joe Early in civil
State
asset
Police
forfeitures
Information Network,
is like just
Neston,
some of
based
the
in Franklin,
craziest
Massachusetts.
above board corruption
Those types
like,
of trainings come out
across the
all time.
country. Notable.
We also get
like
direct
it made its way
training
into
through
a
the Mass
Supreme
Training
Court
Council.
decision.
And again,
How
every
opaque
single
that
day
office is with
emails
civil
come out
asset forfeitures.
that
So
would
wild.
allow people to sign up, and a lot of them are directly associated with those topics you brought up.
Thank you, Chief. I know that you folks have your hands full. You're required to do a
No,
lot
they
in the city.
the
probably more
MRAPs
than
though,
what you should be
Gio, those
doing.
come
But I would highly
come
recommend
right
that
out
the
of the
vice unit
general fund.
specifically undergo training, mandatory training to substance use disorder, human trafficking, and sexual exploitation. I'm cognizant that my time will be almost over. I just want to make sure for the public, I do have another list of questions that I don't think I will be able to ask tonight, but I am committed to following through with the city manager and the chief in our one-to-one conversations and get updates on those. One thing that came up today, actually two last things, is can you confirm whether the mental health and de-escalation training is mandatory for every police officer?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, that de-escalation training was basically introduced in the 2020 police reform bill. It's actually part of our CMR 555 6.04, which is Mass State Law concerning use of force, and that you must try to de-escalate unless it's not feasible to do so.
But is the mental health and de-escalation training voluntary or mandatory for everyone?
Through the chair of the council, de-escalation is mandatory. We also provide mental health training within our academy. I also The new class that's in now will actually get an additional 40 hours of mental health training.
And I saw that in your report, which I really appreciate. I would highly recommend that the mental health training becomes mandatory for every police officer. And then my last question is something that came up and when I did my side-to-side analysis with what the DOJ had recommended in your report. I was really confused about why we require background checks for complainants. Can you confirm that that's our policy?
Through the chair of the council, whenever anybody goes to the Bureau of Professional Standards, they undertake training. That training is put on, I have the guy's name here somewhere, and both of the training curriculums I looked at went over that you need to vet the credibility of the person that's making the complaint, and that's how you do a background to vet that credibility. That was in training materials that I have that had the officers going through that every time they went to a training. So that's not something that Worcester Police do, that's something that's done throughout the country.
Got it. So is it optional for police departments to opt out of that, or do you have to follow that guidance?
Mr. Chief?
Through the training, through the chair of the council, again, there are only so many trainings for Bureau of Professional Standards. These are attorneys that are giving these classes.
The
and
CEO
they're telling
of
us that's
the
what we
company
need
they're
to
going
do
to
when we
contract
start an investigation.
Thanks for clarifying
for their
that.
new reporting
the last
system
motion that I want to make
was
thank
detained
you,
in
Chief,
Sweden
and thanks for
over
answering all my
allegations of
questions.
insider trading.
This is something
after
that I didn't
he
have time to
bought
ask, but I would like, in the spirit of
Infor EAM
engaging and including the work
system
that the Human Rights Commission has done
from the
I would
Coke
like to enter
Industries
into the record,
in
if you can,
2021
please,
for
their
800
one-year
million
report, if I'm not
in
mistaken,
cash.
which I read and contains a lot of
just a little
good
bit of background on
recommendations.
this,
And Chief, lastly, I just want to say that I appreciate that
this new
you may
reporting
not
system
agree
we're
with everything the Human Rights Commission, the policies they're recommending, but the fact that you are going back to the table says a lot. And I specifically, and lastly, just do want to highly recommend that we do follow through with the aggregation of data around traffic stops, something that I know you said in your report you would be open to implementing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? The counselor? Any questions? Jenny? I'm sorry, Councilor Priscilla?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, I watched the Octopus Murders.
I want to begin by acknowledging, the gravity of the
So good.
report.
So fucking good.
By the DOJ. It's not an easy read.
What was that software called in that? It was
There are serious
Prism?
concerns, and it demands our
think
full
so.
attention.
Yeah. Just like the first
I also want to
Central Intelligence Agency backdoor.
thank Chief Saucier. He has always welcomed me down to the police department or come to City Hall. He always is open to having tough conversations. He never deflects responsibility. He leans into it, and I really do appreciate the willingness to have conversations where, I have a lot of questions, and I appreciate that we can have respectful dialogue. I do have a few questions. Through the chair to the city manager, is there a timeline for the Research Bureau's report on a civilian review board?
Mr. Manager?
To the chair, to the council, they have informed me that they are looking for probably late spring.
Please stop placing the items on the wall and having the police officer come over there. Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
That's
To the
so
chair, to the council,
embarrassing.
well, they have notified that it will be late
we doing?
spring. They have
God.
other reports that they're working on.
wish that guy
that
would
they're
just
trying to
go the
finish
fuck
up.
away.
But this will be something that they're prioritizing. They're hoping to finish by late spring.
Thank you. I watched the Human Rights Committee meeting last night, and they did commend the WPD for their policy work that they're putting forward, including their efforts on the trauma-informed policy. through the chair to the city manager, has it been considered to use the Human Rights Commission as a foundation for civilian oversight?
Yeah, and I said no.
To the chair, to the council, no, that has not been considered. The Human Rights Commission has specific ordinance, and right now it's not specifically oversight over the entire department or things related to that matter.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair to Chief Saucier, I know that crisis intervention training is a really intense week-long training. What percentage of the department has received it?
Through the chair to the council, I believe 100 officers received the 40-hour training, and as Councilor Hajay say, Councilor Etel, I believe it's a mandatory 6 hours when they're in the academy.
The fuck?
And again, going on, they're going to have an additional week.
Thank you. And through the chair of the chief, so I've been out with officers who have had the training, and would you mind, just for the public, kind of going into it a little bit, what they go through in that 40-hour week?
Chief?
Through the chair to the council, a lot of it has to do with de-escalation and calming a situation down. It's in police work, everything is about how you talk to somebody. So these officers are out there, they're very experienced. They gain that classroom experience, and then they gain the actual hands-on by going out. In addition, we have clinicians that ride along with them, and we just increase that to cover the first half shift, which is 3 to 11, 4 to 12. So currently, it's 64 hours that we have a clinician that's available. And those clinicians help the officers, and if there's any type of situation, they follow up on it, or they actually go to the call with those police officers that are CIT trained.
Thank you so much. I have one more question, but through the chair, it's to Mr. Levancy, if that's okay.
Jesse John's comment?
Okay,
Yeah.
I can wait.
we'll hang on for 1 minute. You can see the marks on the wall from here.
What?
Yeah, I know, Scotch tape that you put up, so.
All right. Put
Can
them
we
in the
stop
black
hanging
site.
things on the
Me and
wall?
Chris discussed this.
Just-
There's a
let's
black
get through
site.
this
There's a
meeting,
black
please.
site where
I'm just
people
asking
can go.
respectfully not to do it. It's a historic building.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude.
You know, you can read the rule. There's a rule not to.
This is the first time we're talking about this DOJ report since it came out, basically. And this fucking little twerp is making
We're
this
not going to have
about
a discussion.
himself.
It's gonna-
Like, what? Oh, God.
Okay.
I'd like to hear the
We're
counselors
taking
ask
on
the
the
chief
item,
questions
please.
about our police department. Thank you very
We're
much. I
taking
don't
away
give
from
a
the whole
fuck
meeting
who's putting shit on the walls, dude. Shut up. Go away. You
They actually
so
are
unhelpful.
asking him questions, too.
Yeah, for like the
You are
first time
so-
in 20 years.
Doing the thing
Yeah.
we want.
And ask the
They-
police officer to take down
He
the
is
sign,
such a
please.
counterproductive fucking presence. He just needs to go away. Completely unhelpful.
I'm not sure what to do here, but
Joe, kick him
the
out.
rule is, it says the rule is there for a specific purpose. It's a historic building. We don't want.
I also
signs
actually
hanging
do
on
care
the
about
walls
this
of the
building, so.
Yeah.
Okay, Counselor.
This is so fucking embarrassing and annoying.
Put up a fucking cork board.
You can allow a
Dude.
sign. Okay, I'm not going to discussion. Please take
The
the sign
fucking
down.
narcissism that it takes. We are trying to talk about something serious here, and this fucking idiot is just making this a
I know.
personality.
You have to
thief.
take the sign down again. Yes.
Point of
No
order,
rule.
can we have a 10-minute recess, please?
Are you kidding me?
Motion to have a 10-minute recess.
Are you?
Maybe we have to have a roll call on that. If you want
Okay, thank you.
Okay, he took it down. Do we move on?
It's such a silly place.
Can I just ask one more question real quick?
Okay. go ahead.
Holy
come back
I'm
to
sorry,
shit.
just super fast. Mr. Levancy.
I'm
may I ask
so
you a
fucking
question?
mad.
So I know in January, the city manager's office put out a press release about
not.
your new DEI curriculum for the WPD Academy for the new class, and this is 12 DEI sessions. Would you mind just for the public, just kind of describing what you're speaking about in those sessions?
Yeah, through the chair to the counselor.
I created a DEI curriculum to assist officers to better do community policing. What this curriculum looks like, it starts off at looking at the history of policing and how do we shift the framework to community policing. We then dive into data, looking up the makeup of Worcester. While you're community policing, who are you most engaging with, which is our youth. So understanding our makeup and where people are coming from. Throughout the 12 weeks, we go through different concepts such as microaggressions, being socialized, looking at bias, looking at sexual harassment as it pertains to them in their role. As we're going through each session, officers are also instructed to create a personal action plan. So it's not only that they're being lectured at, but they're using this personal action plan that they can review and commit to as they're doing this community policing. A highlight of the program is also that the community is engaged as well too. So in 2 of our classes, I've invited different community stakeholders that work with different parts of our population that either represents that population, that has worked closely with them to provide a viewpoint when it comes to interacting with this community. What are some of the challenges when engaging with that community, but also what are some of the successes that you should keep in mind prior to approaching that? The goals and the hope is to provide them this knowledge prior to them being out patrolling. And then towards the end of the class, they'll do a presentation on what they've learned, but also speak on their community action plan and something that they'll continue to look back on.
Thank you so much. And through the chair to Mr. Levancy, how has this been received?
After each class, there is assignments for the student officers in reading the reflections. I can see that they're engaging with the materials. Often they will reach out via email. So if they want to have a conversation to grapple more with the materials. So each class, based through the different reflections, I'm realizing that each class that they are grappling with the materials. Part of the class too, it is designed for them to interact and also be vulnerable, but also look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves how they can continue to commit to DEI through community policing. So it's been received pretty well, but I'm always finding ways to how to improve the program as well too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay. No, I think we're all set. Do you need a recess, anybody? Or? Okay. Council, we'll do a 5-minute recess. Is that okay? Okay. Roll call.
5-minute recess. Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor Agia?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson? Councilor Nguyen? Councilor Ojeda?
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes.
Thanks, fucking idiot. Goddamn David Webb.
So stupid.
That is so childish.
Mm-hmm.
Man. How do we
You being so childish that they had to go to recess.
Oh my God.
Picturing Donna playing Red Rover right now.
I'm fucking
Donna home.
I'm worked up on that shit. I'm
Ooh,
I mean,
ooh. Don't listen to the chief. I have to tape my little signs to the wall. Ooh, look at this. It says vote for change. Oh, I looked at the council rules on where you can and can't put up little signs on the wall. Are you making up rules as you go along, Mayor Petty?
Shut up, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Possibly the best voice you've ever done, Bill. You do lots of good voices. That could be the best.
Yeah, I show up. I do my little debate club thing every week.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna go film some vulnerable people.
Fucking idiot. Not like the chief is really saying anything that noteworthy.
No, but
this is still the first time we've ever had him responding to questions publicly about this. Like, this is important.
And having him answer badly is still important.
Yeah,
it's going on the
great.
record. It's setting a precedent
Right.
for the city moving forward in terms of what their expectations are. And that's probably the best we could get out of this stupid fucking meeting.
Right. And it gives us something to point to be like, see, they're not like, but vote for change.
Yeah, vote for change. Vote for change. Ooh, this is going to play so well to my fucking 30 people who read my Facebook posts. That's the real problem here.
Yeah. So
I'm so fucking mad.
I think we need an animated version of this.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah, we're gonna pull this clip and just send it to an animator. We send him a picture of David Webb and be like, "Can you get this together?" So we can release it on like cable act. I'll pay for commercial airtime for it.
Not that
very interesting thing that came up. I need to talk about something else, or I'll just keep doing it. Saucier said that a month ago he met with the new U.S. attorney for the state. He said that he has not met with what he called the old group, which is the people who are actually doing this investigation. And he basically said that everything is on pause and he doesn't think that he will meet with those people again. So, that's I think we can glean from that it's effectively sidelined. And the fact that the city manager led on that the chief met with the DOJ, but they didn't talk about this investigation. Like, like what did they do? They just cracked ears and they were like, yeah, Trump's back. We're a law enforcement community again.
Yeah. This is the last we'll ever hear of it in an official capacity.
I think that is probably true. I think that also we're not, it's not looking good for the Civilian Review Board because
obviously
the way the manager spoke about the Human Rights Commission doesn't really engender confidence that he's going to put together a real Civilian Review Board.
Yeah, even if they voted one through, he wouldn't actually implement it. Not with any teeth.
Yeah.
So, we need a better council.
Yeah.
Vote for change.
Vote
for change.
Dude, don't make me think about it again.
Speaking of voting for a better council, is anybody going to Two's party tomorrow night?
Oh, that's tomorrow night. I might be able to make it. I might be able to make it down for that.
Sharing the link to the Facebook event in the chat now. So come on down and support some good candidates and celebrate the fact
get
that
some signatures
Worcester
done.
Get some signatures, donate if you like, and celebrate that Worcester is a sanctuary city for queer and gender diverse people, despite its wishes of the city government. So that should be a good time tomorrow night. Make sure you're coming out to that. Everybody, come party. That will be the only fun thing this week.
Oh, could I hang out my signs? Well, we got another fun thing this week. We have two fun things going on later this week. We got freaking Sort of Late Show.
Oh yeah, that too.
Dude, I need that picture framed like on my desk, like it's a loved one. Oh, there's a Rob event on Thursday. What's the Rob event?
Oh yeah, let me get the details for that as well. Yeah, come down to the Sort of Late Show on Friday night at Off the Rails. If you don't have your tickets yet, you can get them on Off the Rails website, or you can reach out to Shaun or Woot Nanny Comedy on Instagram to buy a physical ticket to avoid the fees, or you can buy your ticket at the door if you like. We've got a great show on Friday. Bill is going to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We're bringing back the overqualified band. Bill is going to be slapping bass, and yeah, it's going to be a great time. We have a lot of fun stuff planned, and
Overqualified band.
yeah, that's what it was originally called. That when Shaun's brother Mark led the band, and they were just
Okay.
all incredible musicians playing this dumbass show for no good reason and much less money than we make now. So yeah, we're bringing it back because you are overqualified.
Who would I rather have on, Saucier or David Webb? Easily Saucier, but if it's a video podcast, David Webb, so I can do 2.0 of, you know what, never mind, I'm not going to finish that. So I can, wait, hold on. So I can, and if it was a video podcast, I'd bring him on so I could, his little signs and up his.
Well, anyway, we have comedian Rob Pierce, musical guest Mellow Green, and Pat Flynn from Have Heart is the guest. And he's going to talk, hardcore music and Worcester, and it's going to be a great time. We have a very fun game planned that we're going to make Pat play that he maybe doesn't know about yet. That we're going to surprise him with. So
yeah, I'm really excited for that interview. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Let's see. Here's Rob's event. Going in the chat.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Roman is relaxing upstairs. He just ate dinner. And he's being a very good boy.
It looks like Hexagon AB is a pretty decent evil stock buy if anybody's into buying evil stocks. I'm thinking about buying a couple $100 of it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the kind of company where we will learn like 20, 30 years from now that
the system flipped it, but there's Saucier and the mayor hanging out right now during the
I'm gonna drink 2 Boynton buckets. No, I'm gonna drink 3 Boynton buckets.
I'll do whatever I want. I'm the police chief here. You're not allowed to say nothing to me.
Remember when our last police chief retired in disgrace? Gia, you can't invest in ShotSpotter like that directly, I'm pretty sure, but I would if I could. Oh no, wait, no. I looked into ShotSpotter and they lose money like crazy. That's not a good buy. That's not
like getting kicked out of cities.
Never mind. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Sound. I can't believe they changed their name to Sound Thinking. That's so funny. Fucking goons.
He did pull papers already. He had to have. It's already, isn't the window over?
No, the window's not over. You can still pull papers. You have until Jesus Christ. You have until May 6th.
Okay, welcome back to the city council meeting. We'll just do a roll call.
Here we go.
Roll call.
Councilor Bergman.
Here.
Councilor Calorio.
Here.
Councilor Agia.
Here.
Mo.
Councilor King.
Being chipper.
Here.
Councilor Maura Carlson. Councilor Nguyen. Councilor Ojeda. Councilor Pasillo.
Here.
Councilor Russell.
Here.
Councilor Toomey.
Here.
And Mayor Petty.
Here. Okay, thank you, Chief. Anybody else have any questions? Seeing none, I guess we can take these 3 items and put them into public safety if you want. Council,
No one else has any questions, huh?
Can we pull out the middle one?
say it again?
Can we pull out the
Council King?
Can we pull out the middle? Well, we vote on these collectively. I like to vote on them individually.
Oh, okay. Before we do
Hi,
that, Council Russell,
Carte.
did you have your hand raised?
Thanks for following.
Very good. Councilor Mary Carlson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the chief. Chief, you talked earlier about your last meeting with the DOJ being about
She going on a
month
fucking
ago.
safari?
And that meeting with the DOJ was the new
Well,
individual
laundry's done.
who is coming in, is that correct?
Through the chair of the council.
You must do the laundry
Through the chair of
dance.
the council, that's correct. It was myself.
You must
and
appease the LG gods.
And during that meeting, was the DOJ report discussed at all?
Through the
Oh,
chair
good
of the
question,
council,
Candy.
no.
So could you tell me
So
the last
really, what are they
time
meeting
that you
about?
met with the folks who released the DOJ report?
Is
Through
that
the chair of the
normal for
council,
a
last
police
time I
chief
met
to be
with them
just
was
hanging
the
out with
day
a
they
new U.S.
actually
attorney?
released the report. I did receive a phone call from Josh Levy letting me know when he was resigning, and that was the last conversation I've had.
Mr. Manager?
To the chair, to the council, just to answer, to add a little bit to what the chief has said, because I know that the chief may not have directly met with the team, but the legal team, our legal team met with their legal team. So our legal office, the law department, our outside counsel, and their legal team met. So the chief might have had other meetings, but not directly in that legal meeting that happened.
Thank
And that happened in December.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, Jess.
Thank you,
that sounds
Mr.
like a
Manager.
lie.
You were next
I'm
for
gonna
that
go out on a
question,
limb.
was to ask when the last time that the administration had met with the Department of Justice, and I guess for lack of better terms, I'm going to say under the previous administration. Is that correct?
Mr. Manager?
To the chair, to the council, that is correct.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, I believe that this would go to both the chief and also the city manager. So currently at this time, is there any indication or any communication from the Department of Justice when there will be another meeting that will be set up to follow up on this report that they released?
To the chair, to the council, at this point, there's nothing that's coordinated or set up or anticipated that's going to happen in the near future.
Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to share how I think
That's so
what
sick.
Chief
I love
Saucier
Keith
has
getting
done
hang
in
out.
his 18 months for this city and for the police department. There's been a tremendous amount of work with this new chief, working with the men and women in the city of Worcester. And I just want to say how much I appreciate all of your efforts and certainly all of your efforts working with the community. I look forward to the new software when it comes for us to be able to collect the data that we talk about.
Data.
You know, the one thing that concerns me is in the DOJ report with the sexual assaults, and I understand, as we heard tonight, that the DOJ, to my knowledge, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, has not indicated to the chief of police or to the administration, any of the members of the Worcester Police Department, that allegedly committed these crimes. Is that correct?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, that's correct. No information's come forward.
Thank you. And again, just want to share my appreciation for the chief and the administration and Kevin working with the Worcester Police Department with the DEI training. I think that that's certainly something that's extremely beneficial to us as a city. I look forward to us moving on, and certainly, you know, do not want to minimize any of the things that people have shared tonight and talked about. But I do want to recognize, since you've been appointed interim chief and now permanent chief, that the city has made a great deal of progress. Do we need to make some additional progress? We certainly do. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Hayter, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess
When they make
Kevin,
open-ended comments
come
like
back
that,
up,
like,
have some
of course we
questions
have progress to be made. It would be really nice if they just articulated what they were referring to, and it might actually be able to gain a little bit of respect back for some of them.
Yeah, well, that's just an empty thing.
Totally.
to say,
No, that's what I'm
obviously.
saying. Like, but it should be required.
Yeah. Focused on one of the things you're focused on is the history of policing, and my question to you, through the chair, is does that include history of Worcester policing? And the reason why I say that is because I think it's important to understand for our new police officers to understand the issues that have been in the past from certain parts of our city, because you know we experience different issues throughout our city, and I just want to make sure that is that something that's addressed to them versus, and I'm not going to point out parts of the city, but it's I guess you could say
I
it's been
think we
known
know
to-
what you
to
mean,
be
man.
Policed a little different, and I think it's important for
you
them
talking about
to
cigarettes
understand
again?
that. So
I hope so.
Through the chair to the counselor. When it comes to the history, there's a few things that we take a look at. When I provide the history, it's to understand why there is mistrust and distrust in marginalized communities. Providing
What?
the officers' perspectives when you go into these communities, understanding why and where did these distrusts stem from. In terms of your question, when it comes to Worcester, are they learning about some of the history for policing? There are certain aspects. We do cover the racial equity audit and going over some of that data so that they're aware. But I know also in the academy itself, they touch on that. But I really focus on the generalized history of policing and how that shifted, but also why there is distrust within marginalized communities. is
Wait,
the
did this
main
guy
focus for
release some?
history.
Did he release a report on the history
Yeah,
of
I appreciate that. I think it's
racism in
important,
policing?
Not to finger point or anything like that, but I think it's
What is he
important
talking about?
as a
I
city
wanna read that.
You know, again, we're
I think
addressing
it's just the
some of
training
those,
module that they're usually using internally, so it should be
underlying
available.
issues or,
Oh,
you know, get to
alright.
some of the root of the problem. For me, most importantly, is to be able to build those relationships back up, and for them to understand that that has been a focus and that will continue to be a focus. So they understand that some of the residents, when they see some of these new police officers, they know that they have somewhat of an understanding of what they're coming into. And my mindset is, someone's moving into the neighborhood, they're taking on what issues or concerns or the great things that are a part of the neighborhood, so they're taking that on as well. So I think it's important for these new officers to understand that, to find ways to be able to build those relationships right away. So I thank you for your effort. I will say, though, that, you know, it's obvious we have a long way to go, and but although with the right leadership and proper training, I believe, you know, that we can begin that process of healing. You know, it's going to take some time and understanding, but also through that process, we'll be able to develop strong relationships with members in our city. I think that's important. I think we're heading in that direction, but there will be some bumps in the road, and we have to take accountability and be transparent. As the chief has mentioned, that transparency is very important to him, and I believe it's important to all of us here. So I just want to make sure that we continue doing that, and you know, be understanding that we're going to have those tough conversations. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Russell?
Mr. Chairman, I know my colleagues have been sitting, but I feel more comfortable and need to stretch my legs a little, so I'll
Okay.
apologize if I'm breaking the rules by standing. Mr. Chairman, I took some notes, during the public testimony and during some of my colleagues' comments, and just want to make some personal reflections of my opinions on some of these things that we've had over the last few months since this report came out. This report was a serious report, the Department of Justice report. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And I think
City
what
councilors,
people in
say
the
what you
community,
mean,
from what I'm
challenge.
hearing, is that they want it taken seriously. And I think that this administration, especially with the chief and with the city manager, have done just that, as evidenced by the report that they presented to us, by evidence by the conversations here tonight and the follow-up, that it has been taken seriously, and that whether the Department of Justice comes back. And
The police department before this was sort of like a sausage, but then Paul Saucier comes and becomes the police chief, and it's like add peppers and onions to the sausage. It makes it a much better
Come
sausage.
back and to tell this city that they need to do anything specific to address.
Can I have whatever type of peppers and onions you want on your property?
That were in the report, and I appreciate
Property.
that effort by the chief of police, by his team, and by the manager overall. Mr. Chairman, one of the comments that were made earlier was talked about in the last 5 years, and the item that this council or previous council voted on about declaring the systemic racism. And in those 5 years, a lot of things have changed in this building and in this community. All you got to do is look around and see the staff and the people that this manager and this administration has
I don't know.
brought in, and the policies that have been put in place. And I think we're on the right track. But Mr. Chairman, we're far from there. When I met with Kevin for the first time, when he did the introductory meetings with the councilors, he had asked me about where
Partial.
I see the problems, and I told him to get in the car and drive through the neighborhoods. Drive through the neighborhoods, many of which I represent in District
Drive through the
3.
neighborhoods, get it
And
icy.
you could tell.
Stop
that
at the
many
Hottie
of
Fobs.
neighborhoods, And this doesn't deal with the policing issues, but you could tell right off the bat, some neighborhoods are treated better than others. And it's very easy to be accused of that. And that's something that this city government has to continue to work on.
You don't mean that.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to follow
You
up
are
on
in city
my
government
personal
to
opinion. I
preserve
think the
that
comment was
reality.
made
You
and
don't
the question
mean
was
that.
asked
Come
by
on,
my council colleague, Councilor Haji, about if the chief would be contacting the Department of Justice with this report. I know, just from my standpoint, I'm not asking you to do that. I think that if the Department of Justice contacts you, yes, you should provide and you should cooperate with them.
It's a
in any
public
way
document.
you want.
What are they talking
But
about?
I'm
It's
not-
literally on the,
it's
there's
my personal
PDFs
opinion
on
that,
the internet. What are they
You
talking
shouldn't be
about?
going to them, asking them to be doing that. And I don't think you need that advice from me, but I just wanted to say that personally, just on my own behalf. That's where I am on that specific thing. Another comment that was made.
The
was
owner of
about bringing in an
Yatco
independent,
convenience stores
review
dropping
person
insane
or
amounts of money into
consultant or
city
whatever.
politics right now.
I'm
Spreading it all
not
around.
convinced of that being of need.
$1,000
as of
K
yet.
Toomey,
So,
$1,000
I'm willing
Kenny
to
Mount
listen to
Carlson,
information
$1,000 to
about
Joe
that, but
Petty.
I'm certainly not at a point tonight where I'm recommending that. Mr. Chairman, a lot of conversation in the community has been around an advisor or citizens review committee, a committee that would have
Nailed it.
teeth, some folks have said.
Nailed it, brother.
You know, and I'll tell you, I was approached by folks in the community, some that have advocated for this, and folks, some that have advocated against it. And up until right now, I had never made a commitment one way or the other. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I look at the pros and cons of a committee, I say to myself, first of all, who are you going to put on a committee like that, number one? And I think if we're going to be looking to the Research Bureau or any other entity to try and come back with some kind of an opinion, I think this is the city manager's job. It's the city manager's job and the chief of police job. And so far, they've represented, to me at least, there's one member of this council and one member of this community that they're on the case and they're doing the right thing.
Civilian
I have
Review
the
Board
confidence
proposal
in them to continue to
dies
do that thing.
5-6
I hesitate
all day.
to say that I would be in favor of some kind of a delegation of those responsibilities or those tasks. And I also would say, I would also be concerned that we're stepping into the business of the Post Commission, the statewide review that was put in place that is there, where there is a mechanism by state government to handle these things. So I just wanted to talk about where I am personally, just as one member of the council, and express my appreciation and my confidence into this chief and to the
We're never
manager,
even getting that
so
Civilian
far.
Review
Look
Board
forward to
report.
the continued work and the work with Mr. Levanchi.
Way these guys are talking.
In the community, dealing with all these various related and sometimes unrelated issues. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, I just have a few questions.
Oh, boy.
There we go. Okay. Just to follow up real quick on Council Hajai's question about vetting people who file complaints. Chief, I was just wondering, have someone received an anonymous, if you receive an anonymous complaint, which people can file and not use their name, do you still follow up on that and still do investigations to the point you can?
To the chair, that's correct. Every complaint that comes in is investigated.
Every
You sure?
Some
You sure
people
about
may think
that?
there's going to be another report from the DOJ. Is that, do we know if it's going to, Mr. Manager? I just, people ask me that question.
Yeah, through the chair to the council, no, this is the only report that we will receive from the DOJ, and that's it.
Okay. And the DOJ
Joe
covered
really
like
has no idea.
2018 to 2022. And I know you spent a long time in this report. When I asked for those 19 recommendations from the DOJ actually to respond, you spent a lot of time on use of force and those responses. And some of those use of force policies were done after the 2022, Chief, or?
To the chair, that's correct. We're actually in the process of overhauling that now. The state is actually eliminating the use of force continuum, which is the 5 factors you use when judging use of force. And they're actually going to a Supreme Court decision, Graham versus Connor, which basically speaks about the reasonable police officer. If I could just read this real quick.
Sure.
The public should hear this, because when you detail what
It
use
would
of
be
force is
just
and
terrible
how
if
it's
somebody
looked
put
at
that
through the courts.
John
And the
Frizolo
legal
text into
standard
this
used to determine
app
lawfulness
that
of
creates a
use of
link
force
that I'm
is
sending out,
grounded in
and
Fourth
then
Amendment
put the
to
link
the
in the
United States
chat. That would
Constitution.
be
And that's
that would
Graham
be just
versus
terrible if somebody did
Connor,
that. I don't want that to
which
happen.
was established in 1989.
Definitely don't do
It
that.
states in part, the reasonableness of a particular use of force must be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on scene, not a reasonable person as in civil cases. It also says it has to be reasonable officer on scene rather than 20/20 vision of hindsight. The calculus of reasonableness must embody allowance for the fact that police officers are often forced to make split-second decisions in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. And this test of reasonableness is not capable of a
I am talking
precise
about the John
definition or
Frizolo.
mechanical application. Force must be reasonable under the
shit.
totality of circumstances.
Somebody
known
had
or reasonably believed by the
screenshot of
officer at the
that.
time of force. So when a use of force complaint comes in, we try to look through the eye of Graham versus Connor, because that's what the Supreme Court of the United States ruled on.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. And those policies that you said, they're all going to be put on the dashboard. Some of the policies already are in the policy section of the department.
To the chair, we put all of our policies online, and once we go through our process, having everything vetted out, then we will add these additional policies on as well. And people can still go to that WPD Policy Review Committee.gov email, and from there, if they have any comments, they want us to look at something, we can reach out right from that email address.
Okay, and in regards to data. I think this is, you've heard in the community, data is so
he said it
important.
right.
And we don't have the ability to collect data.
He said it wrong.
That's why we need contract Hexagon.
18 months to get the software up and running. Is that
We love
the
them,
best
folks.
we can do on
Hexagon.
that?
They're Swedes,
Through the
but they're
chair,
tight with the
that's
Cokes.
correct.
They
Deputy
do
Chief
insider
Fleming
trading with the Koch
spoke with
brothers.
somebody, I believe, yesterday, and that was the timeline.
Okay. In regards to the K-9, and I think that was also use of force too, if I remember right. And you no longer allow K-9s to be used in large crowds. I think that was part of the report.
Through the chair of the council, that's correct. We pull back on any type of large crowd. I believe it puts the officer in a disadvantaged situation. And people got to understand, the use of a K-9 is a finding tool. It's to find a person. K-9s are not deployed to actually go out and bite people.
But they
They're
do bite
there
people.
to go find and
What do
locate
you-
people. And we
I
actually
watched
just
the
put an
video of the
additional
K-9 biting
dog
the guy.
that can
He
be
was already
used
found. He
as
was,
a
in fact,
non-deterrent
right there,
sign,
surrounded by
but it's
officers.
only used in circumstances
And other people
of
too.
loss
He
of
had been
kid,
found by everybody.
a
Worst
person
Waldo
with
impression
dementia,
ever.
Whatever, they're lost in the woods.
This is such a
This
crazy lie.
Fine dog can go out and do that job.
Thank you, Chief.
What the fuck?
And there's a ratio of bites, I think 13.7% it's in the report. Can you explain that and where we are with other departments in that particular?
To the chair, that's correct. Tufts University did an independent study, and it showed that within that 5-year timeline, WPD had 15 bites. Case law, Kerr versus West Palm Beach, stipulates that anything under 30%
Kerr, really?
is an
CUR?
accepted bite ratio. Our bite ratio, I believe, is 13.47%.
Bite ratio.
So fucking bizarre.
Again, I just want to thank you for the report.
Oh yeah,
It's
let's pull out
request
this
to
one civil
respond to
case
19
that spuriously
recommendations.
decided there's an acceptable police dog
You
bite
respond to-
ratio.
It seems like you're implementing all the
If my dog
recommendations
had a
that you're trying
13.7%
to-
bite ratio,
I'm sorry,
she would have been
On the 19
executed publicly
recommendations by DOJ,
months
it appears to me
ago.
by reading the report. You're trying to.
The police dog
institute all
bite
the
ratio? Does this guy
recommendations
even listening to himself?
Or there's any recommendations you don't
Like
think
that
you
was
can-
in his report, and I read
To the chair,
it, but
again, a lot of it has to do with data.
Like,
So
yeah.
we're looking at that.
hearing him
We
say it
are-
out loud,
obviously
it's
we
just
take
like,
this
my
very
God.
seriously.
My
We are going
God,
through
man.
every line, and just to state that, when the DOJ put this out, they gave us no information as far as what incident was what. So we had to go through, and that took a while
Yeah,
to
there's
figure out
there's this one
what they were talking
civil
about.
case
'Cause I used a very
from
brief
Miami
definition of
Dade County
what
that
incident
outlines
it was,
acceptable
so we
bite
gotta find
ratio
it.
of police dogs.
Okay.
And
Because I
listen,
think
we're
this is
under
a
it.
report, no matter
To
what
be honest,
DOJ does,
what the hell are
and
the
if you don't
dogs doing the rest
contact
of the
them,
time?
Is that this report's not going away.
The other,
And I'm glad to hear
whatever,
that,
my math sucks
you say that
percentage.
you're gonna
Like,
put everything up on
we would
the-
expect them to be biting
either
more,
the
wouldn't we?
dashboard
Like
or
what?
in the Worcester Police
They're like
Department's,
lazy fucking cop
policy
dogs
section
here.
on the website. I think it's important that we
They're just running up
recognize
people,
this
licking-
is
licking
important
them?
for the really to show the commitment.
2
from you
points
and
under the
department
accepted bite ratio. I don't see the
about,
problem.
Reform, transparency, and accountability, which you do mention in the report. No police department is perfect. I think we have a really good police department that respond to this community, but we need to build on the relationships we have now as we move forward. And I'm glad that we were able to swear you in a few weeks ago as chief. It appears that the DOJ feels the same.
Very important that
you're the person
everybody
for the job.
Oh, I'm
checks
so
that out.
excited to
Community
open
and
this
the
link.
council,
What could it
and
be?
so we're really look forward to working with you. I'm glad you're working with the DEI.
Who could have thunk
officer
it?
here,
Who could have
and
thunk
also
it?
with the Human Rights Commission, going back and forth, going to their meetings and reviewing your policies with them for input, which I think is important for public input. I think that's very important too. So I just want to say thank you for the report. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to have more questions as we move forward. But the more you can provide us updates, which was brought up by, I think, the councilors and also the public, Mr. Manager, any type of updates as we move forward on these policies to bring us maybe a quarterly update going forward. So I do appreciate that. Anybody else? Council King?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, a question to the solicitor. If you could speak to the findings of the DOJ report, it'd be much appreciated.
I need a breakdown of the BBR on each police dog, bark bite ratio.
Madam Solicitor?
Oh, what could this like? I like this new thing.
Through the chair, is there a specific question
Yeah,
that you
just
have?
speak to
or-
the two findings that they highlight.
Wow.
Can you explain what you would like me to speak about?
Summarize it, please. Summarize it. You need the page?
Yes, please.
Page 1.
That was kind of a vague
we-
request.
Yeah,
Just to be fair to the lawyer.
but I'm dumb, so I would hope that she'd
Okay,
be
through the
smart.
chair, the findings, you would like me to summarize that?
Yes, please.
Okay. The findings are that the department uses excessive force that violates the Fourth Amendment. And then in that finding is tasers, dogs. I mean, you can read those.
Yes, please.
And then the second bullet is the department engages in outrageous government conduct that violates the constitutional rights of women.
Thank you. And have you had any interaction with the legal team from the Department of Justice? It was mentioned earlier that there was a meeting. I don't know if it was you or your predecessor.
Through the chair, that meeting was in December. I was not at the meeting, but there's been no communication or no meeting since then.
In the transition plan from
interesting.
The prior solicitor to yourself, was there any briefing on that meeting through the chair?
Through the chair, it was not a formal briefing, but just a summary recap, and it was not really anything formal. They discussed maybe the findings, that it was a draft, or that the findings were final, and that was it.
No, I meant between you and the prior solicitor, was there a briefing, since you weren't present, as to what that legal team's engagement with the solicitor at the time was?
No, through the chair, he just said that there was nothing that came about the meeting. That was
Okay,
it.
thank you. Mr. Chairman, you know, this is a serious report. One of the things that strikes me is some of the commonalities at play with respect to the Human Rights Commission and their memos and recommendation related to policing, the race dialogues that occurred back right before I got on council, 2015, 2016, this DOJ report, Mr. Chairman, and the equity audit. There's a lot of common themes. I'd like to make a motion that we get a report back on that commonality that spans for some time as a way of a motion. Mr. Chairman,
I heard that too, Liz. That
with
definitely
regards
was
to the 19 recommendations,
what a boot.
I had filed an order some months ago requesting
Tear
that this
her.
administration, this was approved 10 unanimously.
Dog, our lawyer's Canadian. We're going to jail.
That we receive a timeline related to the work that's been occurring in response to this DOJ investigation. When I was in
Imagine getting
municipal
arrested
operations,
by
we
a
had regular
Mountie
meetings
in that little
regarding the
getup.
equity audit. and
That's
the
got to be
attempts
so
to,
humiliating.
make changes there. We know that, and I've always been of the
Like getting arrested
mindset,
by a fanciful
that
lumberjack.
in order to get better with response to some of these things, that there's 4 things in play, Mr. Chairman. When we're dealing with an issue, we were dealing with excessive force, misconduct, etc. If we're dealing with a lawsuit and we're dealing with a settlement, out of that is opportunities for change and accountability. And the 4 things that must happen in that regard is related to effectuating change with standard operating procedures, policy changes, oversight by governmental bodies such as ourselves and the Committee on Public Safety, oversight by the community, and oversight by the city manager and his administration, Mr. Chairman. Those things I just mentioned last with regards to oversight is one bullet item. The last thing is collective bargaining. as a regional vice president of my union, I know that when we're talking about policy changes, operational procedures, change in work, it requires negotiation. I also know that that does not always entail increasing in salary. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's about internal reorganization. Sometimes it's about an increase in staffing or reallocation of staffing to different areas, and we know that it's been represented that this department is short-staffed. But I want to make it clear that those four things is what will move the dial for us. Mr. Chairman,
That's a word.
question to the
Put
chair.
into operation.
The chief. I think that's the first time publicly I got to say that. No more interim. Chief Saucier. One of the comments made by the administration was, hey, there's areas that we challenge. There's some things that we're not in agreement with. What I did not hear was areas where we are confirming that there's an issue. So through the chair to the administration, when it comes to these 19 recommendations and the concerns that spurred the recommendations, please tell me which of the, well, I like to go through 1 through 19, you don't have to state them, but I'd like to know which ones that recommendations that were made by the DOJ you guys found had credibility, that were credible recommendations, and as such, you're responding as so, through the chair.
Chief?
Through the chair to the council, you want me to go through everyone?
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily read them, but you can read like the blackened part, and you know that you found that it was a credible or not credible recommendation.
Through the chair to the council, as always, we try to go by best practices. Best practices occur when incidents happen throughout the country, and we take that into account and we change with it. As far as policy number 1, as always, again, mass criminal justice is changing themselves for the whole state, the use of force policy. They're putting out one that's going to be relegated to everybody. So we are waiting that. I think that is a good change. Use of force reporting systems, I've already changed that. So that's one that I thought was important. It brings forth more accountability in how we do our jobs, and that change has been made. Use of force review mechanisms, I've also put in place the use of force training committee that's going to look at all of those. Whenever a use of force comes in, the report goes to BOPS, it goes to the official, and it goes to this committee, who then studies it. They bring forth recommendations. If something was out of line, it gets pushed up to me. So again, that's something new. If we look at data collection and assessment of force, again, the manager brought forth and was committed to spending, it's approximately $5 million with 5 other agencies to purchase that hexagon system, which can do a lot as far as disaggregating information that's in front of us. So we'll be able to look at more of that closely. If we go to number 5. Improve
Page
behavioral
4.
health calls for service. We are doing that. We increased the clinicians. We're working with them. They were graceful enough to do that. 64 hours.
Graceful.
We also increased the amount of time that officers actually train in crisis intervention, and we're starting with this academy, and that's going up 40 hours.
Just found a
You can
very
take the next
fun
3
story
together
about
if you
hexagon.
want, 6, 7, and 8.
We've We've
Let's
created
see.
a new policy for undercover
The city of New
operations.
Orleans this week.
And when
This
I
week
say new
being
policy,
August 3rd,
What
2023.
we're talking about here is
Canceled a $6
how
million
these sting
contract
operations are conducted.
for a new 911
Right
records
now, when a
management
sting
system
operation is
after it
done,
identified, quote, serious
a
shortcomings with the project.
brief. We
5-year
get,
project aimed to combine
complaints
20
from the
New Orleans
community,
Police Department
and that's the
record
only
systems
reason
into
we're
a
out
single
there.
cloud-based
There are over
system
300
developed by
arrests
Hexagon,
made for,
a Swedish technology firm. The contract, signed in early 2021, was for a project called On-Call Records. It's seen several changes that increased the cost.
gone out there and tried to just
The city cited
don't do that anymore.
technical delays
go
in
after
providing
the
a functional
Johns
crime
out there.
analytics
We
environment,
get calls of
lack of a workable plan
women,
to
children
access
walking to school
existing
being
police and city
solicited by
data,
Johns.
and the
That's the
inability
reason
to
we're out
generate
there.
reports
And when we do a
compliant with
John
state
sting,
and federal
we have to do the
requirements.
females as well, because we have to clear them out of the area so that the John
Seems
comes
like
in and sees our undercover.
it doesn't
female
do the things that the chief is
posing as a
currently saying it
prostitute.
does.
Those are reasons why we do a sting operation. That
They're not
involves
like
females,
Worcester,
and
Bill.
That's it. So we
Worcester's
did create
different.
a policy as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to ever have another female get in an officer's car and put that officer in that position that
Put the officer in that
they're
position.
being accused of anything. So from now on, we're going with a common night walker statute, which you don't have to have somebody in the car. In order to make an arrest for sex for a fee, there has to be an offer and acceptance, just like a contract. And usually that entails somebody getting in the vehicle. We do not do that any longer, and we won't do it anymore. If we move to 9,
I hate
provide
this.
background checks.
Yeah, that's really
We currently
gross.
do a 6-month background check on officers.
Put the
before they get on
police
job.
officer in the position
That
of being
includes
accused, is what he said.
their finances, that includes talking to neighbors, talking to previous employees, employers, and it's done very rigorously. And I was kind of,
You say
for them to
rigorously?
even put this in there, to do a background check on a cop that's already working, and I answered that question previously as far as when somebody's gonna go to one of these units, they're vetted out very much so, because you do have, it's a whole different job when you're in one of these units. Eliminate barriers to reporting, as far as reporting. So an anonymous complaint now, we changed the form. If you go online, you can send forth a complaint that's anonymous. That was not like that before. We also have a text-to-tip line. People can call in there. We also have the
I really would love to see someone who's
hotline
running
the
for office
manager
this year
created. So we
just
have
ask the
3 or
question
4 different
publicly why we
avenues,
have a fucking
and all of
morality
those
police
can be
department.
accessed anonymously. If we look at
The whole vice unit thing just seems so fucking weird to me, especially just after spending the last 20 years trouncing the military trouncing around the world because other people have morality police.
some of that had to do with the way things are coded. When you code when they're talking about closing cases.
Common night walker.
We don't close cases. Cases are closed by the DA's office when there's no evidence to prosecute. In order to put these into the NIBRS system, which is the federally record management, they have to code it as closed case. Us, we can go in and put, instead of closed case, insufficient evidence, and that's another change that's been made. But as far as the feds, they have to do it that way in order to record it appropriately. 12, improve documentation of police activity. So again, once that Hexagon system's up.
Sorry about that.
We can actually go in and get more information. Right now, in order
And
to
Phil
do-
Collins
to do
soundtracks.
if you
And that would be
pulled up
awesome.
an incident and there were 5 people involved, you'd have to go through
Lot of
and
muted
read every
pastels.
single narrative to find out the race of
Worcester
anybody
could use more
involved.
muted pastels outside
And
of
we
Easter.
Roughly do 140, 160,000 incidents a year. So when people say, give me this, well, that takes time, takes personnel, And once the system's in place, that information will be readily available.
I'm reading this here story from New Orleans saying that
Analyzing
it really
data
wasn't
from
available.
enforcement activity. Again,
Hmm.
right now, when we look at traffic citations, we take the race of the person, and again, it has to be manual. We don't do if somebody was stopped. We don't do if there was.
Yeah, I mean, South Mom.
it
That was
it
pretty
recorded if there's
fucking
a
crazy.
warrant. But if you look at the way the DOJ
Some real Mike Pence
put that
shit.
forth, right? They use traffic citations, demographics of the person who receives citations. That's not the way you do that work. You do the demographics of the community at large, not based on that. And if we look at the actual statistics on that, you would see that the people that receive citations, white, 52.1%.
I haven't looked in a long time, Chris,
population-
but
I'm
like
sorry,
Worcester statute
citations,
was one of the older, more
50.5%
like
of the
really
population.
fucking bizarre versions where it was like if you were a woman
15.6%,
walking unaccompanied at night
12.1% of the
and you had a
population.
bag with you,
Asian,
that could,
2.8% of
presumably be
citations,
used to
there's
contain
6.9% of
condoms or what
population.
have you, you were
Hispanic,
subject to search.
27.5% of citations.
Which is why, like in the 90s through the early aughts, like
24.9%
you'd
of the
have lots of
population.
women who
So,
were working
the way
carrying
they
like
did
CVS
their
bags, like little
analysis
plastic bags
is
and
one of the
whatnot,
problems
so they could at
I
least make the
have
argument
when
that
you're
they were
looking
coming and
at
going from
record-keeping.
like a store or
It's
what have
also
you.
interesting that
It's a real
CNA
our
found
ordinance
racial disparities actually
around prostitution
decrease
was really fucking antiquated and dark.
when officers have discretion. which
Up
is a
there
good
with like
thing,
the appropriate
right?
number
There are a
of
lot of
unmarried
things out
women
there
to be
we
living
have, you
together
know,
in a single
If
apartment.
you're involved with a 209 violation, restraining order, I have to arrest you. If you're involved in a domestic, I have to arrest you. If you have a warrant, no matter what it's for, I have to arrest you. It shall arrest according to Mass General laws, because if I let you go, then you got an accident down the street, now we have a liability problem. So when you look at these, you need an understanding of how the system really works. It's not just that we're out there locking people up for nothing. We also, as far as data, we are part of the Children and Families
Sounds like you
Governance.
just
We
said
had
that
a
you
meeting
lock people
yesterday.
up because of the
Dr.
insurance
Ryan
liability.
Ross received
So
all of our
that's
information,
pretty close to
in
nothing in my
coordination with
book.
Shannon Grant, and she details and goes through that, and she separates manually by race and age to find out who's involved in violent crime. So that's another partner we have where the information goes.
Yeah, it's not too far off. Yeah, it basically was like vagrancy was like not carrying cash with you.
Which number am I on now?
All millennials are vagrants.
All millennials are vagrants. Apple Pay does not count. They do not take Apple Pay as bail. Clearly a vagrant.
In Worcester, it's still illegal for hobos to nap on the common lawn.
What is 14 again? I can't find that page.
There's no statute. It's just is.
Meaningful.
Back in the day, though, I think there was a
meaningfully
statute.
Addressing disparities. So.
Chris, come on
we do
whenever
this
you
in
want.
A number of ways. Number one,
Jump on.
We have
You got the login.
gang program camp where we service 300 inner city youth.
Yeah,
every
just
July.
to clarify too, and I don't know if that needs it, but like to Chris's point, I'm not getting in the weeds at all on like whatever you want to deem as quality of life issues around certain neighborhoods. I just think it's really fucking weird that a city that still has difficulty with potholes and leaf collection deems itself capable of handling morality as a black and white issue. These knuckleheads can be put in charge of. That just is, that's comic strip absurd. That's
when you're talking about
Yeah, just go out there and just do class warfare, but in a way that's hard for you to personally understand that you're doing it.
just stick to clearance rates on murders and keeping your dogs from biting people below 15%. Like, let's just leave it there.
What if we invent a system where the cops are doing the class war, but they don't understand it to be a class war,
Improve civilian
and they kind of think that everyone that wants them to stop
if they
doing
wanna
that
do it
is
anonymously, they can.
woke?
One other thing we did is when we have a and this was one of the recommendations, if somebody walks
Joe,
in
we'd
off the
love to.
street and
No,
they want to make
no
a
one that
complaint
fits that
of
description likes or wants to talk
excessive
to us.
force, that gets bumped right up to Bob's.
I'd happily
Instead
forfeit
of
my
the
my
officer's
spot.
Immediate supervisor
Yeah.
coming
Big
in
time.
and,
100%.
taking care of it.
I could use a night off.
Require officers to report misconduct. We have a Department Anti-Retaliation Policy 206, and actually in the 2020 legislation that led to the police reform, you have to have a duty to inform.
Dude, you start
as
filling up
part of that
potholes with
training.
drugs, people are just going to be digging
We
up the
also
potholes.
have Ron
I'm going to be
Reed,
digging up the
retired
potholes.
FBI agent. He's going to be coming in and doing color law training, and that also entails duty to.
What if they
inform.
melted down needles and made them into bullets, like that
Review of
that
body-worn camera
scene at the
footage.
beginning of The Patriot?
Any level 3 and up is
Aim
reviewed
small,
by
miss
the
small.
official. Now what we do is anything of a level 4 or above, which means you were dealing with an assaultive subject, and you use that level of force, which could be from a punch, it could be use of a less lethal shotgun, it could be a taser deployment. Anything up from there, the official actually has to look at it, look at the body-worn camera. They then do a report within our
I
system.
don't think I have read Planetary.
Indicating that they looked at it, this is what they found, and it was accepted or not via what our policy states. In addition to that, at the time, the operations officials. and the
We used to have a lot of
were
very
required to
diverse
review
guests.
20
They just all got
body-worn
elected
camera
to
videos
positions in the
that were
city and didn't want to do the show
randomly
anymore.
selected Through the Axon performance software.
Please introduce us to new people. We
Bureau of
love
Professional
to. We
Standards,
love to have more
they
people
also
on.
had a review.
And
Either they
we
got
love-
elected or they got
I've
freaked
upped
out when they
that,
realized
and
this
now
wasn't like a
it's
scripted thing,
together
and we just
60
fucking hung
videos
out
a
and
month,
talked.
Yeah.
Randomly chosen through the Axon performance software, and the officials have to look at it. And there's been
Or they
many
turned kind of
cases
right wing.
where you can find something
Uh,
that does not.
A lot of social issues.
Speaking of,
you
if
could see a
anybody
training defect. And that's
in
why
the,
the cameras are
in the
great.
valley
Not only do we
is
learn
listening,
exactly what happened,
and you
but it's
want a
also
really
training
good
tool where
local
sometimes
journalist
officers
for the
get
Gundo
complacent. If we
that's
see
going
them
to
walk into
cover
the
it like a
house
right winger,
where, you know,
but
their
like do what
weapon
I do.
is not
I'll do it
away from the-
for
the
$5
person
million
they're
a
dealing with.
year. I'll do it.
Little indicators,
I'll start
then
the
we can bring them
Gundo
in
sucks,
for additional training.
and the wokes
And
hate
why
it.
that is important
And
is because when you find
well, you
those
know,
training
I can be the new. I'll be your
that
little
could lead to a
Glenn
lesser use of
Greenwald.
force than if
So
they kept going on
you know,
and we didn't see it.
Mark Andreessen,
That's a
Peter
huge
Thiel.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I don't want to. Ben, no, this isn't. That's not at all what we're saying at all. Please don't fucking defend us like that. That's not at all what we're saying.
15 officers in Vice,
We
4 supervisors.
this is a very white
I have
show. We know,
totally
we understand that. We know that.
100%
We would
Quite
love to be.
cognizant.
in what they
We
do.
would love to
They're very
be. No,
professional.
don't do that,
One
Ben.
of our
Don't
lieutenants
fucking
is
do that.
actually an attorney
That's not.
that works
I
out of that
completely agree
office.
with Joe.
We have
like,
over 100
like,
within the
well
detective
said. Good
bureau,
on you.
gang unit, alcohol unit.
No, I'm not. That's not.
And
That's not an insult to point that
these
out.
officers
For
are
sure. Not at all.
handpicked to go to these
Please,
different
God, for the love of
units.
God.
And then again, it's vetted the way I see it, through resumes, through sickness. If somebody calls in sick 15, 16 times, they're not going to a unit.
We have and have our
we have
will
our ways
continue
of
to
making
always
sure
be. This will be a
things are
place
done
where you
correctly.
can call us on our shit.
Thank you.
And we
are
will.
all officers and
You can criticize anybody on this show.
leaders in the Worcester Police Department.
Yeah,
they all
criticizing us
receive
isn't
yearly
an assault on
performance
our free speech
evaluations
rights.
through the
This is very hard for some people to
Through the
understand,
chair of
but
the
we get
council,
it.
we do not have performance evaluations. That is something the manager, and assistant city manager,
Listen, I love them. I love the
gonna be
females.
starting.
Yeah, that part was weird. Yeah,
To the
sure.
City Council, that's something that we were able to negotiate with the officials union, and most of the other
Folks,
unions as well.
we're
What we
players.
negotiated was to start a.
We're players in the
review
players'
committee
ball.
that
We
will
love the
review
females.
The initiation of what it would be performance evaluations. We're currently in the midst of creating that for non-union employees. And
this
that's
is a
something
fun.
that we
This is a
look
fun
forward
commenting
to,
night.
in this upcoming fiscal year that we would begin. That's something that actually will potentially
I
be
can't
presented
upload
as
them
part
right
of the
now,
budget
but
process.
just send me a lot of
But again,
really
it's an
funny pictures
ongoing
from
work
the-
with the unions.
from the
The
chamber.
unions have agreed
There was
to begin the process.
a series of about
having a
20
committee to
photos of
review
Eric
what a
during
performance
that
evaluation
exchange
is,
between
how is
Christian
that
and the
tied to
solicitor, where
potentially
he's just
merit or not,
uncomfortably looking back and
and
forth.
what the evaluation tool would actually look like. But we're actually right now in the midst of implementing that and working through those efforts for the non-union, non-represented members of the city of Worcester.
Through the chair to the chief, if you could share currently how you evaluate
That's awesome, Trouble. I think
merit
we-
Trouble, yes,
and
100%,
performance
yes.
of rank and
And
file
honestly,
of
like
officers,
again,
of your
it is
deputies, et
part
cetera,
of it is
without
that
such
we're
a
slightly on
system,
autopilot
through the chair.
sometimes. You know, we're all busy and we're
Through the chair
doing
of the
our best
council,
to
again,
continue
it's
the show.
determined by
We're
where
always
you
going to
work.
continue the show, but we used to book a lot
realistically,
stronger, and we
when
used to put a
officers
lot
are
more
out
effort
there,
into booking
it's
the
Yeah.
show.
to them.
Booking
Travis got
sucks
weird
to
about
do.
Yeah,
It was all
got
Travis.
really-
He got
Travis
weird, he got
really-
lazy.
environment
And
where
Booking sucks to do. So if
every week we have
anybody
a commander's
wants to be the
meeting
person that
where
books,
we find out
that's great because we're just not
where
going
the
to do
biggest
it.
problems are in the city, then we deploy our forces according to those problems. We know the officers that are doing
We didn't
a good
want Chris
job
to jump on because he's a white
being
man.
detached from that. I hear
In
their
fact,
names.
that's
I
our
read
least
the
favorite thing about
reports,
him.
And so doesn't the other officials in here. You can learn more
my God.
from an officer's report.
People just
than
seem to be enjoying what he was
anything
saying, and it's easier to
You
say
can
it.
tell from what they're doing
And
on the
conversationally.
street just by reading the report.
But yeah, you know
given
what?
that you brought up
Chris can't come on the
reports,
show
could
ever
you,
again.
through the chair to,
You guys are
the
right.
chief,
Chris is
as
Chris
relates
is
to
banned.
false statements
Banned from the show.
in the course of official duty by law enforcement.
Wait,
false statements.
Oh,
police
sorry, Trouble.
reports
No, we
that
we
are
yeah,
You
we
blatant
can take it
co-signed
back.
and
yourself or
you
a
co-signed and we
to be
banned
false.
Chris.
Can't take it back
What
now.
is? How does that play into the evaluation of these folks and potential?
You know how you can
promotions,
watch the city council with less
merit,
people.
etc.
I'll send you the link.
And what is the collective bargaining language?
watch it the old-fashioned
pertaining
way,
to
the
false
calling
statements
list.
during the course of duty?
check in
Is
with
that
Colleen.
subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination, or is that not in the collective bargaining agreement through the chair?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council.
Yeah,
Christian
I think
called
that
me
the
from
comment
the
section should be
collective
collectively
bargaining
bargaining
agreement
with
in
the
reference
hosts.
to
I think
untruthfulness.
like
But if you
you
are
guys should appoint
untruthful,
one person
then
from
that-
the
and
commenters
you're
to come on
sustained, that goes
and
to post.
redress your grievances
Post can
live on the air.
certification.
Get
It
a
also
shop
goes
steward.
to a
Yeah.
called a Rule 14.
That is a role
with the
within
DA's
this
office,
within
where you're
this
on a list.
community.
And the
You
Yeah,
can be a
if
steward.
That
if the
list,
commenters
and if you're on it, you
can
basically can't touch it.
dutifully elect a steward, we will honor that.
Through the
We
chair
will
to the chief,
recognize
is
the
there any
commenters.
officers? Is there officers? I'm not asking for names, but are there officers who are on that list? currently
Because we're
employed
better
by
than
the
Clark
Worcester Police
University.
Department? Through the chair.
We'll recognize the
Through the
union.
chair of the council.
You don't have to
Yes,
take our
there are,
asses to the
and some of them
NLRB.
go back a long ways, and we use a system.
Christian
of
called me yesterday or
progressive
left a
discipline.
voicemail for me yesterday for
And
some
when an
campaign
officer
stuff.
makes a mistake,
He was
and we
eating
feel it's
in the
viable,
voicemail that he left me.
they're a good employee,
Like he was really
that
fucking.
we
It's like
firing
chewing
off.
food.
Oh,
then we try
That's
to
so gross.
retain
That's
It's
awesome.
like,
you listen to his
fuck?
voicemail, like, wow,
employees
Christian
as we
ate.
can.
But
But
Christian
again,
just
we
does not care about
progressive discipline.
me at all
If you
as a
do
voter.
have one
This
of those, it's serious.
could not
Through
have
the chair to
sounded
the
more
chief,
uninterested.
In regards to false statements, how can you and your leadership team,
I am curious
your
what he was eating,
deputies and officials rely upon the veracity of statements of folks who have
So
made
mad that Colleen
false
West won't
statements
answer me
in a
in the
court of law
comments.
repeatedly?
Just wanna know how
and
her
cost
day is
the
going.
city money due to settlements and other things, and in a court of law where there's testimony about people taking people's rights. We've had situations where false testimony has resulted in people who are probably guilty, having their case dismissed or adjusted. So through the chair to the chief, how does your team assess the veracity of those particular sorts of law enforcement folks who have that question about them?
Through the chair of the council, First off, we started a body-worn camera program pilot in 2019, February 2023.
Oh, I'm so sick
It
of hearing
was,
about body cameras like they
on a
do
full-time
anything.
basis. And again, we have random audits of body-worn camera.
In the earlier exchange
match
outside
up
of the
with the
shelter,
report,
David
obviously.
was yelling at the cop to put on his turn on his body camera if that was if it was going to be a public an interaction with the public. The cop was just like bemused, like, dude, my camera's always on. Like, what the fuck are you talking
Through
about?
chair, just for clarification to the chief. So
That was
if there's
wicked
a
funny
false
when
statement,
all the body cameras were
sounds like,
on the charging dock
in
when
some instances, those
David
officers are
Webb
worked
got
with,
spray paint in the face.
to one degree or another by your team.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Wow.
I didn't hear what you
That when there is you've determined that there's a false statement.
Wow.
That in some instances.
Every day
they
is like
continue to be
Christmas
employed,
to Colleen West, whose lives has not changed one single bit between the
Through the chair of the
Biden and Trump
council, that's correct.
administration.
It's
Just
not
vibes.
a
It's great.
fireable offense, and we must look at when you're
Christmas
looking
at Colleen's
body-worn
house must
cameras,
suck.
There's a thing called perception. That's why officers, if they were involved in a shooting, they're not allowed to even look at the camera.
I guess
until they
Candy is
put down
currently
what
turned
their
around.
perception was.
Let me see if
And
I can
that
get this in
goes
here.
to
Turn around watching
what
the
I spoke
TV
about
that's
in
next
case
to her
law, Supreme Court, when you talk about
instead of
Bryan
just
versus
looking
Connolly.
across the
Based on
gallery.
A reasonable officer's perception at the time.
She's watching
Hope
the
this doesn't
TV.
flip
using the totality
Wait,
of
there's a TV
circumstances.
behind
that's-
Candy? There's not usually a
There
TV
is in that
behind
corner.
Candy.
There's one in that corner.
Than the body.
Really?
too. It's flipped again. Why is
Thank you,
it?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
This is
Who's
to
watching?
the city manager. It's not a question. Just
Why is she watching it that way?
in my
That's so
line of
weird.
work in child welfare.
Jess says maybe she's
I-
using the
I represent
subtitles, but I'm not sure that
workers
she
who
can
make
read.
false statements or are
So
accused of doing such. And to a person,
great question.
those folks are ultimately disciplined, and they're not working at the department that I work for. And the reason for that is that we take custody of humans, and we try to keep them safe. And what we're told,
I detest,
is
I loathe
if you're
the Jello
false in
rolls.
your statement in your official duties, that the agency and the state cannot trust your veracity.
We should have Colleen West
when
on
it
the show.
comes
How's
to
that?
testimony?
That'd be some great
matters
representation.
of the welfare of individuals.
Get her a kidney donor.
And it's in our collective bargaining agreement that
not a match.
false statement is subject up to and including termination. The reason for that, disciplinary action up to and including termination. The reason for that is the public
She's
trust.
our DEI hire
And I
for
want you to take
orcs
that
that
under
talk
full
about meat being
consideration,
on the menu. We'll have
from me to you.
We'll have gotten that
It's
that
very
group
important,
well
Mr. Chairman.
represented.
What happens at the end of this 10 minutes?
Of course, we'd run
What
that
happens
by
at the end
the
of 10
Commenters
minutes?
Union.
Well, we get another,
Dutifully
we get
elected
another 10,
steward.
we can do
Okay.
2 tens, so.
Thank you. So it'll count up, I guess?
I'll just start at 10 again.
Okay. Thank you.
Does nothing for the demographics, but I do miss having Fred on giving us weather reports.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple of
Comrade
questions.
Fred.
to
Comrade
the
Fred
chair
kind
regarding
of showed himself to
the
be
use of
not
force.
the most reliable ally
Recommendations 1, 2, 3,
today,
4
though.
will
I
say,
gotta say.
that based on the
He's doing a great job with those eyebrows, though.
chief's responsive to my question pertaining to
I would love to get it tested
the
to see if I'm a match
recommendations,
for
and the credibility. It's very clear.
Colleen
the
West.
majorities of these
And
have
offer her
credibility,
a kidney if
responsiveness. I
she
filed an order previously.
she agrees to go woke.
That we get again a
Dangle
timeline
your woke kidney
of
in
when
front of
these,
her. Do you want to live?
changes went into place. That was filed in January.
I know a lot of people
14th.
that are not even distantly related to
And the
Colleen
importance
West.
of that is so that we can lay it out. So we know there's been some changes relative to the equity audit. There's been some changes that occurred in proximity to that. There's some changes. The DOJ, this report came to the administration well before it came to the council. And I'd like dates and times of those changes. And that was approved again unanimously by this body. If you could speak to the use of force concerns.
Yeah, I think
relative
it's working correctly. What people,
minority
if
population, black and
you,
brown folks, and youth.
let me drop
that
this.
report outlines some.
If you want to get on
concerns,
the Discord,
as relates to that. Also
you have to
indicated,
connect your Discord
again, this goes to
to
the folks from the
your
union that
Twitch
came out
account.
here saying that this stuff is baseless. Some of it actually is
Is your
commending the work.
disc?
But
I
as
mean,
you
Troubler
mentioned,
knows
when
better
it
than
comes to
anybody.
areas of
But
discretion,
I can't figure out
on
what else
police
I need to
stops,
do. It's
traffic
connected.
stops.
It should be working.
It indicated there was not a correlation there, and it was actually pretty
If you
good
go down
numbers
on that
you
page to
referenced.
Twitch integration for viewers, it
in addition
should
to
tell you
that,
how to connect your Twitch account to
did
your
not
Discord account, and it
indicate that
should
there
be able to
was,
join. I don't know why it's not working.
discrimination
I honestly
occurring
can't figure it out.
with regards to black and brown folks, but it
I'm
did
not- I'm
recognize
honestly,
that there
I've been
was
looking
a
all week and
concern
all
about the
tonight,
numbers as
trying to
been
find
in
answers,
previous-
and
the equity audit as well. So that also
I don't know what
was
else to do
not
about it.
a condemnation
I'm
of
trying.
the work, as it were. It was a concern that was brought up. Can you speak to what you found in your review of use of force relative to the concerns that were brought forward in the report? And there were certain instances.
I'm going to contact
youth,
Discord,
people with disabilities,
customer
etc.
service, I
Can
guess.
you report what your assessment is of your department in that regard?
Chief?
Through the chair
Yeah,
of the council,
basically, like you connect the server
again,
to
it depends
the
what incidents you're talking about.
the
There's several
Wootnanny
incidents
Twitch
on
account,
here
and
that the
it
language
manages
that
the
DOJ
permissions.
used is not even close to what happened. Not even close. And if you go by
Oh, look at that, Hadoken. That's very nice.
principles of Graham versus
It sets the
Connor,
permissions
go by
based on your
CMR
tier,
500,
your subscription
6.06,
tier. So any
go by
subscriber
established
should be
law
able to
in
join.
Massachusetts and federally.
And if it's showing up as
And I'm gonna give you one example.
letting you join, then that should work. Just I don't know.
If we look at, they talked about an incident happening
Perfect.
at Walmart. Okay.
My dog almost
DOJ
peed on Nico's
described
car
an
the other
incident
day.
in which an off-duty officer working at Walmart
I was gonna let him do it. He kept
used
walking.
OC pepper spray against a shoplifter. According to DOJ, the officer observed the shoplifter getting into a waiting vehicle.
Listen,
and
I
used force
hear the
by
commenters
punching him in the
union's
midsection of the
concerns.
face and spraying him with OC.
You know, we're listening.
DOJ claims that these uses of force were unreasonable.
You know, but
in light of the
don't, you know,
minor nature
just
of the
if you have a
offenses,
concern, you
the
know,
officer's
just
failure
come to
note in his
us.
report,
We'll
any other
listen.
attempts to control or
We'll
handcuff the
we'll
man
listen to your
before he
concerns.
resorted to
Don't
punches.
you know bring in
This
you know
description
like
fails
any
to
sort of
mention the
third
key contextual
party that might
information
come in
that
and
establishes the immediate
you know
danger
demand
posed.
that we fix the
This specific
Discord.
Walmart location
Just
is
Yeah, that would
come to
just
us.
make it harder.
It requires
It would just
off-duty
make it
officers
harder.
present
You know, we'd probably have to
as
let
part of
some of
its
you
operation.
go if that
Officers
was the
assigned
case
to this
because
location are familiar with
pretty
with
expensive.
the shoplifting
Our budget
issues
would just go.
at the
yeah.
store and have
Yeah.
experienced arresting
Great.
subjects
So
who
click
are
that link to
often
join,
resistant
and
unwilling to comply. In this particular incident,
Yep.
the officer observed the subject
Listening to
taking a
the
flat
chief
screen television
read a
with
report
sound
about
bar
beating
and
a cop beating up a guy at
worth
Walmart,
$745.
the tone
That
of
was
his
your
voice
minor
has gotten so
shoplifting.
soft as he's trying to justify
From
this.
the
He must
store
be
without
awesome
paying.
on like
The officer then
reading
observed the
days
subject
to
get
school
into a
kids.
waiting car with the license plates removed. When the officer stepped in front
Get
of
that
the
like
car,
upswing
an
at the end of
identified
each sentence.
driver unexpectedly accelerated the vehicle in the officer's direction. The initial encounter occurred so quickly, the officer was unable to attempt to de-escalate the scene. The officer narrowly avoided the car and was able to get onto the subject who's partially outside of the vehicle. So as the car's driving by, they're trying to run down the officer was able to grab the suspect. He goes out of the car, the getaway car leaves.
Ooh, we got a hype train going,
The driver
everybody.
fled the scene with the stolen merchandise.
Thanks
The
to
officers left the subject, who began to
Kara
elbow
Hadoken
the officer.
and Jess
Other
and
officers
who
on scene
else?
described the subject attempted to headbutt and kick the officer.
We
and
got
failed
a
his
we got
body to
a
resist
we got a
arrest.
level 2 hype train going, so
Ultimately, with the
keep going.
assistance of 2 additional officers, the officer was able to arrest the subject.
This is a rocket
The uses of
train.
force employed by the officer were appropriate.
Yeah.
Get your rocket.
and
Couple
proportionate.
more levels of hype train. We might be
Volatile
thinking
and
about having a
subject
Friday pizza party
So my
for the
problem
commenters
was
union.
Wow.
The DOJ put out
Yeah, if you play your cards right.
sentences
You can
that
be like
led
in
our
7th grade when
community
they
to believe
gave us a pizza
that
party
the
and
officer
let us
used
watch a
excessive
movie.
force. That's not excessive
And
force.
the teacher,
police need
somebody
not be
brought in
assaulted
Caddyshack,
to
and we
use
watched
force
it.
to take someone under control.
And
Do we
that's
have-
not
As a
appropriate
matter of fact,
for
I'm gonna
7th
put
grade.
This report I have out, I want to put it out in the community. I want to be transparent. People should understand that this is the
Wow.
stuff we were looking at. This is why
We're
officers, when they come
77%
here,
of the way
are
to level
passionate,
3.
Right? We're all human beings. They sit at that microphone the same as everybody else.
That's
that
the
sits up here,
appropriate
and they're
ratio for
passionate
non-biting
because the
attack dogs.
officer who got this done to him
I think.
and made him him look like he was
Math
using
is still
excessive
tough.
force. Is a veteran, a military veteran. He's a he's won medals, right? And now you have this report coming out like it's nothing. And
I wonder if any
it's a big
violent
deal
thug
to
has
these
won a
officers.
medal from the police
People
department
knew
before.
They were talking about this guy, right? So there's numerous accounts in here when you talk about use of force.
So I'm going to reclaim my time for a minute, Chief.
Can I just finish one thing, please?
I just want to reclaim my time for a minute. Mr. Chairman, what comes to mind is fairness. That's what comes to mind. Very simple, fairness. I think that's what we all want. I would like to make a motion requesting that the differences that are had, as mentioned, with this report are provided to us in a report from the administration. I also want in that report areas where what was said
he
is
punched the guy.
confirmed.
He
and
punched him right in the
necessary.
face while the car was
I think
driving.
we want fairness.
And it was cool.
Your report, sounds reasonable. This is civilian oversight happening right now in real time.
I wouldn't
And
even
of course,
sign up
there's
to be a
always
cop
two
if you
sides,
didn't
but
punch guys in the
absolutely, I just want to
face.
say fairness. I think we all want fairness and accountability, for sure. So thank you for that. In addition
That's
to
some-
that, Mr.
that's some
Chairman,
mighty fine cop
with
speak there,
respect
Gio.
to BOPs, there was some.
Oh,
no boy.
What happened?
Well,
Fucking
Hold
Zuckerberg.
on.
Facebook is censoring Christian because he's too powerful.
Yeah, for real. Hold on. Yeah, my internet all went fucking haywire.
Right, Rolbez. This is a very good point. That's definitely not the principal axis by which the
over the past
horrors rot on the
10
periphery
to 15
slowly
years,
boomerang back
and
to the
whether or
center
not-
or
and
anything
what
like that.
BOPs did or did not find
definitely
in
not.
those complaints, and if in fact it went to BOPs or just went to a supervisor. I appreciate the candor, Chief.
That's
It's
definitely not
necessary to be
the
part of
main
this process
conduit of the
so that folks
imperial
know,
boomerang.
that in some instances, perhaps, this stuff may not have been in fight. But overall, it sounds like, a number of these things are being addressed. The second thing I'd like to ask.
Oh, do we have Joanna
related
talking
to
crap about Christian?
the buying, the policies and trainings.
She's been
and
peddling a
enforcing laws related to
really
buying
weak line
sex, improving those
lately.
supervision of officers who
That
enforce laws
Christian
related to
shook
buying or
her
selling
hand
sex,
too hard
or who interact with
at a meeting.
folks in the commercial sex trade.
You know what?
And
I
developing policies and
I
procedures. Can you explain why?
I don't buy it.
You
I
made
just
the
I don't
changes
buy
that
it.
you did
I'm sorry.
through the chair and the relevance to the DOJ report.
Mr. Chairman,
Wow.
point of order.
Great hype train, everybody.
Mr. Chairman. Councilor King said he was reclaiming his time. I thought the clock stops when the chief was speaking.
It does.
And I think the chief should be given an opportunity to finish the statement he was saying
I
before.
was going to ask him to at the end.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to continue my line of questioning, please. I'm not opposed to the chief responding at the end. So that was the question. I don't want to repeat it and lose my 3 minutes. I just stated it.
I'm sorry, can you state that question again?
Don't start my clock. I'm restating it because the point
my
of
God,
order
the fucking
request by my friend and colleague over there. The question was, why did you make the changes you did relative to the matter I stated, and what relationship it had with the DOJ report?
Through the chair to the council, some of those changes originated because we've changed our focus on it used to be based on arresting the female. That went out a few years back.
Female? What are you,
So
Joe?
there's no need to compromise our officers or anyone to have somebody get in that vehicle where an allegation could be made. So I thought it was best interest. Again, our focus has changed, and as they do, we change policy.
Do you anticipate that will reduce concerns that were brought forward? During the
Johanna
DOJ
is
from
the
community?
campaign manager
Through
for
the chair to the council, I can tell you that
what's
it's
his
gonna
fucking name?
maybe increase concerns in the neighborhood.
For who?
So we're gonna have to work on another solution to that.
It keeps
because
cutting out every 10
now
minutes.
you're gonna have a
Charles Luster.
larger population. of
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Oh, then the
sex workers
then
that
the
will be out
feud
there.
makes more sense.
We're not gonna be arresting. as we, like I said, within the last 5 years, we did 99.
Anything you hear
That's one of my
is
concerns that we have.
entirely in
Let
bad
me
faith.
restate the question. Do you think that will have a positive impact moving forward on the concerns of the women that came forward making allegations of police misconduct? Do you think these changes will have a positive impact and protect officers and the community alike?
Through the chair to the counselor, there's not going to be any type of interactions, so I'm not sure how they're going to fail.
What are
I
you
would have to
talking
ask
about?
someone.
Do you think these actions would protect the community and your officers from similar concerns?
Through the chair to the counselor, absolutely.
I don't know. I seem to remember. How is that going to stop a cop from taking
I appreciate
a prostitute to a graveyard,
chief's patience,
and coercing
appreciate
her to have sex with him, or she'll go to
patience. I will
jail?
state just for the record,
Because that,
I
all
am in
that's just
support of
illegal.
Civilian Review Board with subpoena powers. I've had meetings with the mayor and the manager and the community in regards to this. It's something that I've supported going back for many years, as have a number of my colleagues. And I had requested way back that we get a report on best practices and pros and cons of that. And I hope that that's part of the Worcester Research Bureau's report, Mr. Chairman. Lastly, I just wanted to speak to a couple of matters here pertaining to exceptions for use of body-worn cameras, if you can speak to that. Exceptions.
All
Bill,
of
in
the
the chat,
plainclothes
that's for you.
units.
Through the chair to the counselor, yes, we do have a policy on body-worn cameras. If we're interviewing.
Cemeteries are a recurring
obviously,
problem
a
in this
victim
city.
of any type of sexual assault.
Cell
you're not
phones
gonna have
are
body-worn camera on. If you are in
not the
plain
solution
clothes of
for solo.
detective and you're doing a canvas, say for video or for witnesses, you're not going to have a body cam on. If you are doing, if you
Yeah,
are
so
plain clothes,
he
he
started stalking at his victim
you will have a body
in
cam on. So
his
uniformed
cop
personnel
car,
have them on
but
all
then
the time.
went in for the
exceptions are when you're in plain clothes.
Thank
rape
you, Mr. Chairman.
in
To the
an
chief,
unmarked car.
can you share with regards to the Walmart matter? Was that information?
No
about
one
the
has brought that
officer and the
part of the
person who
report
was
up.
alleged to have made the offense? Was that all that information provided to you by the Department of Justice for your inquiry?
Through the chair of council, that's correct. That was right in the police report.
I asked if it was from the DOJ. Did they point out who, what,
Cell phone
where,
could
when,
solve
and how?
grave what?
Through the chair of the council, negative, no. They didn't report, they did not give us one incident of anything that happened.
But you were
The
able to.
report you have is the report we had.
So you were able to review that without the DOJ's information.
That's one of my best my favorite
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Frizzola stories
I
ever.
respectfully recommend that the department and the chief do exactly
Got
that.
locked in St. John's.
In regards to these concerns, if you haven't already.
After
I know that
hours.
folks are looking for names and all this
Hey,
stuff.
no.
Had to call
But
for
very
help.
Clearly, there is a capacity to one degree or another.
I mean, it
where
happens.
That can be done.
God,
Happened
this
in the
When you're
Walmart
mourning.
Situation, I would request by a motion that an internal review, an exploratory inquiry be executed with regards to the matters that are at hand in the Department of Justice report, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we're 3 away. We're at
think folks
500
looking for fairness
followers.
and accountability. I
as
think
of
that
tonight as well.
folks who brought forward concerns looking for to be validated. I think that there are officers who want to be validated in their work, and it's a two-way street for all of us, Mr. Chairman. These findings were that there is Fourth Amendment violations regarding deployment of tasers, police dogs, strikes in the head, etc. Outrageous government contact, violating the constitutional rights of women. I'm glad to hear that the majority of us take these things serious, Mr. Chairman. And I look forward to some of these things going to committee for further review. But again, I want to
Whom among
reiterate
us has
I filed an
not
order,
woken up in their car locked inside a
asking
cemetery before?
that this council be provided with a copy of all memos, notes, and
Twice last week.
recommendations that the city has received from the Human Rights Commission relative to this stuff, because a lot of it is congruent from all of these different things, which means there's a common concern that needs to be recognized. And I look forward to continued, work on behalf of all in regards
we got
to
our
this,
first
and that
meme in
being
the meme
the
thread
chief,
on Discord.
the unions, the community, us as leaders.
It's been figured
necessary to
out.
move
I'm
forward,
scared.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
don't-
and we can't simply rely on what's being done.
I
But
can't
the
even remember,
importance
like, my
is,
Switch password.
how it's implemented.
That's where I
policy,
got tripped up last
procedure,
time.
Operations.
Yeah,
collective
if you,
bargaining,
I sent it in the
civilian
private chat.
oversight.
If you guys just click
Thank
on that,
you
you should
for
be
the
able
time,
to
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you'd think.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
join,
Can
and
I just
then
finish my statement?
do you have Discord?
Chief,
Yeah,
you're up.
Discord.
Just in reference to use of
What do
force.
you mean?
just wanted
Everyone
to
has
know
Discord. It's
that,
just a website, right?
You know,
do you have an account?
816,000 incidents
I don't know.
during that timeline. Within that, there were 530 actual uses of force for an approximate percentage of 0.08% of the time of the Worcester Police Department using force. And I think that needs to be out there.
Can you say that one more time so people?
816,000 overall incidents. The Worcester Police recorded 530 actual uses of force. We are putting hands on somebody, we are using a tool to make them comply. If you take that percentage, it's 0.08% of the time are the Worcester Police actually using force within that 5-year period.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and I look forward to your report on that.
Mr. Chair.
And Councilor Ojeda, followed by Councilor Haji.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the chief, quickly.
Email's already
from my end,
registered.
You mentioned
Oh my
implementing
God.
changes to policies, training, tactics, and enforcement strategies to
I
address
quit.
problematic trends. Is there a time frame for that? I know we have the new officers coming in and they're getting all this training, but the officers that are in place now, do you have a time frame for all this new training?
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, we have in-service training twice a year, and within those, we will do updates as far as anything new. I'm bringing in the FBI. This person was a former FBI agent who worked for the.
His name's
civil
Ron
division
Reed.
of the
Did you
DOJ.
read
He's
the
coming
report
in,
that you wrote,
and
Chief?
He's going to do some training on color law, which is basically federal law that all police officers have to stand by as far as
Oh my God.
the way they do their job, use of force, and duty to inform.
And one last thing through the chair, so this will be mandatory?
Through the chair of the council, 400 officers are going to go through it.
Thank you.
Councilor Haji?
That's not really.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. I just want to make a couple of comments in response to Councilor Russell's remarks. And then just want to reiterate something that I asked and explain again the reason why I asked it. The Civilian Review Board has been mentioned in this community since the race dialogues. The Coming Together Collective, which was a group of Black and brown leaders, respected leaders in the community who commissioned a report that was shared with then Manager Augustus, and a report that frankly hasn't really implemented in a slew of recommendations. But I want to specifically focus on the one where they did a lot of work to talk about, from their perspective, as people who have been impacted from their own communities, and coming to the table with a desire to enhance the trust between police and community. And furthermore, that Civilian Review Board, that policy has been recommended by the NWACP. A lot of us who ran for office last year were all asked the question, those of us who showed up to the debates, were asked the question of whether we support the Civilian Review Board. It has been supported and asked from the Black Families Together. And I mention all those groups because I want to make sure of two things. One, that our responsibility as lawmakers is to propose policy, to evaluate it, to make sure that there's monitoring and evaluation systems in place to measure its efficacy before we make any judgments on both of those things. And secondarily, I think
All
we
right.
need to be very careful
I launched
and mindful that
Farm
the communities
Merge
most
Valley
impacted by
in the Discord.
concerns that I at least have heard, and still have a lot of people,
So-
particularly Black, Brown, folks with disabilities, that we should be
I believe
heeding
this is
their
a
advice and
co-op
their
game.
guidance. So I look forward to that debate on the city council. Secondarily, I asked for an independent review, Chief, and everybody who's listening, not because I have any intention to crucify the
thanks,
the Worcester Police Department further. I hear your concerns. I'm glad that you're coming out with the report that outlines the discrepancies that you have based on your data, of your experience as an expert in this field. It is my job, again, as a legislative
Activity was
member of
not
this body, to suggest practices and policy that has been vetted nationally for two reasons. One, because I believe that an independent review will give you the ability to exonerate some of these findings that, clearly you have frustrations about. It will give the community, most importantly, and the folks that have been alleged to have been harmed by practices that have been mentioned in the report, it will give those folks the ability to have full faith that an independent review, in addition to your opinions and your expertise, can move us in the direction of repairing some harm and reconciling all these different allegations that are happening. And thirdly, Councilor Russell, I never suggested to the chief, I can't, because I respect you as another adult and human being, but B, I'm not allowed by the charter to commend or to tell you what you need to do. I merely suggested and asked a question whether you would be willing, when you meet with the DOJ, which I'm hoping, City Manager, that soon, whether you would be willing to share
I don't think that they're going
the
to meet
report
with
that
the
you shared
DOJ.
with us for the purpose of continuing that dialogue. And honestly, I do think it's good practice for you and for us to have some idea on what these dialogues are looking like. And what these interactions are looking like behind the scenes. We don't get to hear, and we don't get a sense of what is being discussed. I'm not saying that we should. I'm merely suggesting that we continue to keep the dialogue, and that gentle suggestion to you was for you to share these findings with the DOJ and seek their input. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief, tonight, and thank the community for coming out tonight. And we have 3 communications here. 6A and 6C will send to
Mr. Chair,
public.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a statement. The Department of Justice review did not recommend a consent decree or a civilian review body. I just wanted to clarify that because I have the report in front of me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So send these to 6A and 6C to public safety. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council
All right,
Aguirre?
so that's
I'm
just
sorry, I
never
missed that. What are we sending to Public Safety Committee?
coming out of public
6A and
safety.
6C.
Thank you. Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Carlson?
Yes.
Council Nian? Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. 6B is public safety.
Motion to file, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to file takes precedent. So the motion is to file. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
No.
Council Calorio?
No.
Council Aguirre?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Carlson? Council Nian? Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
No.
Council Toomey?
No.
And Mayor Petty?
No.
Mayor, that fails.
So motion to send to public safety. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Aguirre?
No.
Hey,
Council King?
thanks, man.
No.
Mom.
Council Carlson? Council Nguyen? Council Ojeda?
No.
Council Pasillo?
No.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. With that, we have a motion to adjourn. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Aguirre?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Carlson? Council Nguyen? Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. Oh, bad.
Wow. What a
Bill, how many years was that DOJ report underway for?
2.
Cool.
Yeah, 2 years just to Kate Toomey gets the last word. Basically just gets to say unilaterally with good authority, like she's right, that consent decree and a civilian review board are 2 things that are just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, consent decree is not in our control. Civilian review board is. And I mean, we just had Kate Toomey like really signal that like if that goes to a vote, she's voting against it. So we're looking at like the same vote that we just saw to send the police union's item to the subcommittee. It's a civilian review board is going to die along those lines. So hopefully this takes a while and maybe Batista proposes his civilian review board after the election. But I mean, the mayor's really calling the shots on the timing there. So I have a feeling that he'll probably have that up for votes before the election. So that's going to become definitely, I foresee that becoming a major issue in the next couple months. So,
yeah.
But very depressing overall. And the chief
Totally.
was basically just celebrated by most of the council for being like, yeah, see, you think you could, this didn't used to be called the excessive force, you know, when you beat a guy up at Walmart, that's just tough police work. Yeah. And also just the language that the chief used, I got to go back and like really look at that part about how he talked about the sexual assault stuff was very gross.
You know, it'd be interesting to try and get into Eric's head is since he has the civilian review board in front of him as something that he can actually act upon. And it's obviously popular enough with the general public. Like the council doesn't fuck with the police because they're worried about the public turning on them. If Eric actually went forward with a model of civilian review that the public embraced wholeheartedly, he kind of puts himself in an odd position where he's insulated from the council going after him when it comes to contract renewal or just like your time is up here sort of thing, because he'll actually have popularity with the general public for something that's been hanging on the vine for decades now.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that's interesting. That like a savvy political
reverse
player
Uno.
could do that. I didn't see Batista really rising to meet the moment tonight, so I don't know if he'd have the stones to try that.
Unless that's maybe why he's being so dodgy with speaking, is because he actually. I mean, I don't even know what his idea of a modern civilian review looks like. I mean, there's got to be something out there that actually makes the general public feel like something is happening, and is something that unions go ham on. I imagine. Like we're not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like we aren't on like the vanguard of police reform in this community. There's plenty of precedent for anything that was put on the table tonight and then some.
Well, Joe, I'm not saying you have to beg anyone, but it's like, you know, your other option is vote everybody out of office. And these people have all been here since I was in fucking high school. So, I mean, it just seems like the more expedient thing would actually get the administration that's represented by a relatively young dude who clearly is hearing from the community and has articulated he wants to do the thing. If the public actually pressed him on it instead of just talking to fucking Mo, it might actually stand a chance of getting done.
Yeah. I mean, that's Eric. If you're listening to this, you know, I'd give you big ups if you did that.
You know,
I think a lot of people would. Just like how you were like a little bit better than the council on the pedestrian stuff.
I mean, you can just keep doing that, and then
Yeah.
we can make the council totally irrelevant, and then you're just God Emperor of Worcester.
Move you to the giant fucking throne.
Yeah.
You can actually use it.
Yeah.
Sit over the mayor.
Eric Muad'Dib Batista. Think about it, man. Think about it.
Think about it. Hey, Eric, think about it.
Hey, Eric, just think about it. Just think about it.
Just think about
Just
it.
think about it. Just think about it.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, listen. We had fun here.
Yeah.
You know, we decided on having a civilian review board for the show.
Mhm.
It's in the Discord. Click on is the pin chat still up? No.
No one
well,
ever defend us or don't ever try to defend us. No one.
we don't need
do that.
defending. Don't
No one
waste
do
your
that.
breath. We don't deserve it. We stink and are
But
losers.
we're bosses. We're the pigs. And we're the people you guys have to take down once you appoint a steward who comes on to collectively bargain with us at the end of the show.
But join Discord and keep the conversation going all week. And if you go to your account settings and connect your Twitch account to your Discord account, you can use our Twitch emotes in the Discord. So it's worth it to do the little Wootenanny pizza pie guy, in my opinion. So yeah, come hang out on there and play farming. Everyone is in there playing farming. So don't be a loser and be left out.
People are in there playing. Oh,
People are
Farm
playing.
Merge
People are-
Valley.
Mhm.
Merge Valley.
Yes, we do what we can with what we.
And listen, at the end of the day, we're a family, right? And times are tough. So
don't go to your reps. Talk to us. Don't go over our heads.
Listen, and if we have a conversation with you about your responsibilities on this program, you do not have to get a rep involved in the room. Listen, it'll go a lot better for you if you don't have a rep there.
It's expensive to do that. We have to probably, cancel some hours for people. So, just talk to us. But yeah, you know what? We had a wonderful time here tonight.
Amazing.
We were the only ones that are gonna make farms for ourselves. No one else is gonna do it for us, so we gotta stick together. And we love you. I think that's what it comes down to, is that we love you, and nobody else loves you like we do. Wait.
Our W3K 3000 coin is dropping soon.
Our stable coin.
We're putting it out through Tether. Really reputable folks.
Nice.
Look
Been
at
a lot of good.
We can't even get a meme to fit. We can't even get an overlay to fit on screen.
Ever since Travis quit.
He quit for look. So this you get the gist. Off the Rails, March 28th, 8 p.m.
Yep.
We
8
got
p.m.
Rob Pierce. We got Mellow Green. We got Pat Flynn from Have Heart. From viral video fame of telling Trump supporters to fuck off. And we got Bill and the Overqualified Band. So come on out to that. Get your tickets now or get them at the door if you like. Make sure that, as always, that you are subscribed to billshaner.substack.com, worcestersucks.email, follow at worcester_sucks.
And just
on
buy
Instagram.
your WCT3K coin. You can buy that by handing me $20. That gives you a coin.
That puts you in the wallet.
And you're gonna go to the moon with us. So
follow us at Wooten Andy Comedy for updates on all the shows that we got, not only the Sort of Late Show, but we have another hot dog coming up in April that we're excited about. Lots of great stuff coming up this summer. Subscribe to us on Twitch. A lot of you did tonight, either on purpose or because you were gifted a subscription by somebody cool and kind. So use that. Join our Discord. Let's party. And I think we only have one more thing to say, and that's make Worcester great again.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see all the great discussion in the subcommittee about this stuff. It's gonna be great.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fucking sick.
Make sure you're coming out to Mint tomorrow night. For the party. Don't miss that. It's going to be an absolute blast. Support your local cool person for whatever seat they're running for in city government. And we'll see you next Tuesday. We love you. Or tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
We love you. Bye.